Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Malahide. Andrew Leonard here, and before we get going, let's get out to Isabel Joyce and find out what happened at the toss.
Good afternoon and welcome to Malahide Cricket Club in North County Dublin for match 1 of the T20 International Challenge between Ireland and Netherlands. At the side of the pitch for the toss, I have the two captains Lara Delaney and Heather Seegers, and match referee Phil Thompson will flip the coin.
Okay, you call Helen in the air.
Heads.
Heads the call, and heads it is.
We'd like to do it.
Okay.
Hey, Heather. Before we get to the toss, Heather, your first time playing international cricket in almost 2 years. You must be excited to get out there.
Yeah, it's been nearly 700 days, so it's been a while. All the girls are very excited to get back out there. We've got some new girls in the team who've trained very hard over the past few months.
It looked like there was some kind of ceremony going on. Is anyone making their debut?
Yeah, Isabel will be making her debut today.
Okay, exciting. And you've won the toss and elected to bowl. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, since it's been such a long time for us to play, we want to get into the game as a team, so that's why we'll be fielding.
Well, best of luck, Heather.
Thank you very much.
And Laura? Before we get to the toss, a really important series ahead of the Europe qualifiers for the ICC T20 World Cup. What do you want to get out of this series?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just gives us another opportunity to go out there and perform as a team and put in a really good performance with both the bat and the ball. I thought we performed really well at times against Scotland with either the bat and then struggled possibly to back it up with the ball, but this gives us an opportunity to go out and do it with both disciplines.
A few changes in your squad, people coming back in possibly from outside Ireland. Was it a really difficult squad and team to select?
Yeah, absolutely, and there are players that are in really good form that have performed in the Super 2s and also Club Series, so it is a difficult squad to get into, but that's what we want. It's going to make the national side more competitive. Ava Richardson and Sophie Mcmahon both come back into the team today, having been out due to playing overseas, and Sophie completing her Masters.
Brilliant. And you've lost the toss, but you've been put in to bat. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think first game, get out there, put some runs on the board and see how the wicket plays.
Okay, well, best of luck to both teams.
Thank you.
That's the news from the toss. Netherlands have won it and they've elected to bowl.
So there's the news from the toss. The Dutch Lionesses winning the toss and choosing to field first. Their first international cricket match in 690 days, remarkably. Been a long time between drinks for the Dutch Lionesses, and I have no doubt they're ecstatic to get over here to Dublin. We're just north of Dublin in Malahide, beautiful Malahide Cricket Club. We've had a heat wave over the last couple of weeks and a real feast of international cricket in recent times after the famine of 2020, after the visit of South Africa to this very ground for the men. It's now time for the women to shine. Ireland women taking on Netherlands in this 4-match T20 International Challenge. And there's the Irish squad. Andrew Leonard here, going to be bringing you all 4 of these matches alongside my co-commentators Isabel Joyce, who you just saw on your screen, and Andrew Blair White. Talk us through the Irish squad.
Well, obviously a few changes being made to the Ireland squad since the one we last saw from them up in Stormont against Scotland. Good to see the experience of Ava Richardson and Mary Waldron coming back in, and also Sophie Mcmahon, who is such a lively all-rounder for this Irish side. Plenty of these girls in good form. There's a really good mixture of youth and experience within this team, and they'll hopefully be trying to build on that series win against Scotland, which was so important for a confidence perspective.
Yeah, 14 player squads for both Ireland and the Netherlands, so really 4 changes for Ireland, with Amy Hunter, who's the COVID reserve for this squad, Jenny Sparrow, Jane Maguire and Cara Murray, who's had a few injury problems, missing out after the Scotland series up in Stormont. And the 3 players coming in, like you said, Andrew: Sophie Mcmahon, the all-rounder from Leinster Cricket Club; Ava Richardson, back in Irish colours and back to Ireland. Been down in New Zealand for a long time. And Mary Waldron back from Australia. It all leads towards the European qualifiers in La Manga. Here's the Netherlands squad, captained by Heather Seegers. A couple of really notable omissions for them, though, Andrew. Of course, Stara Callis overplaying in the 100, and Marlowe's Barat missing out. She's missing out for work reasons, but plenty for Dutch fans to be excited about, particularly a couple of young spingers. Ava Lynch, an Irish name in the Dutch lineup with an Irish father and a Dutch mother. Anamain van Buga Babette Delaney. And keep an eye as well on a strike bowler, Irish Willing, big pace bowler. And I think we're going to see her open the bowling here, Andrew.
Yeah, one of the great prospects of this Netherlands women's side. A very young team that they've brought over here, and a great opportunity for many of them to really cement themselves within international cricket. Obviously, first time of them playing a T20 international for the guts of 2 years, so there'll be probably some nerves in that camp, but also a great opportunity to get into a 4-game series in such a lovely ground. Good to see the banks as full as they can be today for this first T20 international between these two sides.
Yeah, opening the batting for Ireland is going to be the same combination we saw throughout the Scotland series. Rebecca Stokel and Gabby Lewis. Stokel will be on strike. The two umpires just having a quick check-in before they get going. Our standing umpires today, that's Azam Ali Beg here at the Dublin Road end. And at square leg, that's Jarlath McCready, who'll be standing at the Castle end. Third umpire today, the Wexford man Aidan Seaver, and the match referee you saw on screen just a few moments ago, that's Philip Thompson. But 4 matches, all 4 o'clock starts here at this very ground. The ground looking a little bit more like Mumbai than Malahide with the little heat wave we've had. Not too much lush green grass in the outfield. It's going to be a fast outfield. So used to seeing good cricket wickets here at Malahide. Hopefully see a high scoring week. Plenty of preparation ahead of the critical T20 World Cup qualifier later in the summer, where both these sides will be amongst 6 teams playing out for just one spot in La Manga. Another good chance for all these players to show their qualities on a global stage. So the first of 4 games, time for play. And immediate signs of real movement. Significant away movement from the right-hander, 2 wide, signalled wide outside the off stump.
As I said a minute or two ago, there's bound to be a few nerves in this touch camp. But good to see already. Bit of movement in play for Zvilling.
And the first runs of the day off the bat, coming a little bit off the inside edge from Stokel, perhaps expecting that movement away. Again, no real signs of it there. But yeah, long time between games for the Netherlands. 690 days, Andrew. We spoke about that up in Belfast with the Irish women, and they'll be just looking to find their way back into international cricket here this week. Powerful pull stroke, that's really firmly hitting. A good stop in the deep. Fine work by Frederic Overdijk out there at deep square leg. Just for a moment you wondered, was it going to get by her? Lewis so proficient in that pull shot.
Yeah, we saw that during that Scotland series for Lewis when they went a little bit shorter to her. She's able to pounce on that pull shot. She also likes sweeping very square of the wicket as well. 2 of her main shots.
Yeah, just having a momentary hold up in play here. Azam Ali Beg looking to check something with the third umpire, possibly the match referee. 2 fielders allowed outside the circle for this first 6 overs of this T20 international. They're at third man and deep square leg at the moment. Andrew, what do you think Ireland will be looking to get from this week? Obviously 3 big players coming back into the squad. Mary Waldron not in the starting 11 today, but you'd have to think that they'll be looking to see what Sophie Mcmahon in particular will be able to bring back to this team. Cut away, going to be the first boundary of the day. Really good shot, too much width on offer from Zwilleen and powered into the offside by Rebecca Stokel.
It's a lovely shot from Stokel here. As you say, Andrew, just too wide this time round, and Stokel, who's been in good form with the bat for Club Merrion in recent weeks, capping off on that. And I really like to see this opening partnership of Stokel and Lewis, 2 really aggressive batters, and trying to get Ireland off to a really good start in this crucial 6-over power play at the start of the innings.
Yeah, so what do you feel that Ed Joyce and Glenn Curl, the coaching staff of the Irish women, will be looking to see this week?
Well, I suppose this is the first time that they're getting close to almost everyone being available, and I'm sure they'll be looking to try and hammer down what is going to be that top 11, come those crunch qualifying games, and this is a great opportunity for plenty of these to put their hand up and be in there.
It's a better line and length to close out the opening over the innings. 7 runs coming from it. So Ireland off to a strong start, 7 for none after 1.
Yeah, very positive start there from both Stokel and Lewis, looking to get into their work early. As I said a couple of deliveries ago, these two are really naturally aggressive batters. Stokel usually going very hard straight down the ground. Lewis can play all round the ground, both square of the wicket and powerful down the ground as well. So they'll be looking with just the two fielders outside the circle for this first 6 to really get into their work and get a good start for the Dutch side.
So Isabel Van Der Phonig to open the bowling with some right arm medium fast from the Castle end. 2 right arm seamers operating in tandem to start with this time, though, the keeper, Babette Delaney, standing back. You can see why she's standing back. The additional pace. And the additional pace has brought about a boundary. Again misdirected, this time down the leg side and into that favoured arc of Lewis, who's so strong to pick up length, immediately sees the pull shot and gets it away for 4.
I think Lewis will almost quite like the extra pace on the ball that Van Der Phonig has just provided there. And with short fine leg in the ring, just needs to get a bit of bat on it, and it's going to fly away here in Malahide, a scorching outfield. You'd think there'll be a lot of runs this week.
Yeah, perhaps for those watching on from around the world, they might have been looking in at the Ireland-South Africa matches last week. They were played in very different temperatures. The heat wave has peaked up around 31, 32 degrees in the north of Ireland. We had glorious weather here for 3 of the 4 matches against South Africa here at Malahide. Today's a very different day, Andrew, isn't it? Somewhat overcast. Just a little bit of humidity about, not cold by any stretch, about 18 degrees, but a few dark clouds around, and there's some rumours of possibly some rain this week.
Yeah, there is, and hopefully that doesn't materialise. You'd feel a little bit aggrieved for both women's sides here, given the weather we have had, but still a bit of warmth in there. Quite a humid day, but it is overcast. You can cloud cover all around the ground.
Just a pick up into the leg side and really good work in the deep. All Dutch sides, they pride themselves on their fielding, and Frederick Overdijk does that really well in the deep. Picks up the angle immediately, makes good ground to her right and cuts off what could have been a boundary to Stokel.
Yeah, good piece of fielding, and interesting that she's obviously been employed as a specialist boundary fielder, going from deep square to deep square in the first 2 overs.
Skied, could this be the first wicket? It is. Lewis's strength has proved her downfall. She loves that pull shot, but the line, she's tried to take it from outside the off stump. It's merely come off a top edge, and a really simple catch is held at mid-on. That's a dream start for the Netherlands. They have got the big wicket of Gabby Lewis.
Yeah, it's a huge wicket for the young Van Der Phonig. It's Ava Lynch there at mid-on who's taken the grab. I think she's just stuffed the ball straight in the pocket as well.
Yeah, love to see that. You don't see that too often. Take the catch, too easy in the pocket, that'll do. Really well held by Ava Lynch. Something of a homecoming for her. Half Dutch, half Irish. Playing for the Netherlands, and a big, big moment for Netherlands because they have found the breakthrough. And that breakthrough is a critical one because Gabby Lewis, one of the stars of the show for Ireland against Scotland up in Stormont just 6 or 7 weeks ago, and it's going to bring Laura Delaney to the crease at number 3. The Lionesses are overjoyed with that, Andrew.
Yeah, well, it's a big wicket to get. I think everyone in international cricket will know how dangerous Gabby Lewis can be. It'll be interesting now. It's a different type of pressure on this Ireland middle order now, with Lewis out early and Laura Delaney coming in at number 3. And you couldn't find a batter that's in better form in club cricket. 2 back-to-back hundreds in recent weeks for her home club Leinster.
And Andrew, not just back-to-back hundreds, but maybe tell viewers from overseas about what else she did. I think it was at the Phoenix Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, 50 over game. I think it was the first week of the 50 over competition. And Leinster were away to Phoenix, and I think she scored 100 and then went out and took 8 for 16 with the ball. So if that doesn't get you the Player of the Match award, I don't know what would, because that's as good a day as any that you're going to get at any level of cricket. But it just goes to show what sort of form she's in, and it's great to see the Irish captain, and she'll be wanting to translate that into big runs now in this series.
An immediate change in bowling for Netherlands. Silver Seegers into the attack, the sister of the captain, Heather Seegers. And keeper's going to come up to the stumps. You're just seeing a little bit of work done in the background there, getting the black sight screen extended. You'll see some flighted off spin, and Delaney dances down the track and shows the form she's in immediately. What a way to get off the mark. No more than a push through the offside, but a really good demonstration of how fast the outfield is here at Malahide. Runs away for an immediate boundary.
Yeah, lovely shot from Laura Delaney here, using her feet, not letting the young leg spinner get into her rhythm. Trying to put her off early on in her spell.
Correction, of course, leg breaks coming right beyond the perpendicular. Nicely flighted, and that one lands. No huge turn on offer, obviously a new ball in play. Brave from Netherlands bringing in a young leg spinner. In the power play, only 2 fielders allowed outside the circle. Women's T20Is, Andrew, will have at the 6 over mark 4 fielders allowed outside the circle.
Yes, indeed, and this is a very interesting call from the Dutch side to bring in the leg spinner so early on, trying to get that second wicket. Say somebody like Rebecca Stokel would prefer a bit of pace on the ball, usually, as an opening batter. So maybe this is something they've thought about, and with the wicket of Lewis, they maybe wanted to bring that spinner into play maybe a little bit earlier than they would have if Gabby Lewis was still at the crease.
A really interesting action, slightly unorthodox. You think of a lot of conventional leg spinners will come quite round arms. So if you think about the hands of the clock, if you're looking from behind here, 12 o'clock, they'll come at sort of 1 o'clock or 1:30 or even close to 2 o'clock. But the bowler here, she comes over much more, almost perfectly straight, arrow straighter. Head dips down to the side, but as we've seen, unorthodoxy in T20 cricket in particular is a very good thing. 3 overs gone. 18 for 1.
There's a really good over there from Seegers, and that first delivery gone for 4 off Laura Delaney to fight back there. Both 4 dot balls in your first over. She'll be very happy with that, getting into a nice rhythm, which is very good to see from a young leg spinner bowling in the power play with a new ball. It's not an easy feat. We're going to see another change in bowling here for this Dutch side, making sure that they're not going to let anybody get into their spell. I think it's going to be Ava Lynch coming into the attack from the Malahide Castle end, having taken the catch to dismiss Gabby Lewis. Now she'll be looking to get a dismissal herself. Bowling round the wicket, it seems.
Yeah, the debutante Isabel Van Der Phonig taken out of the attack, just 19 years of age, a wicket on debut for her. Ava Lynch going to come around the wicket with her off breaks. Clearly a tactic from the Dutch in advance coming into this game to rotate their bowlers, perhaps right the way through the power play.
Yeah, it does seem like that, and seems definitely a tactic to bring on the slower bowlers now that Lewis is out.
Again, another young bowler with a very upright action. can see just how high her bowling arm comes through at. Again, think of the hands of the clock right the way up towards sort of 12 o'clock, it looks like to me. They're coming round the wicket, cramping the two batters up. Slow through the air, but good control, good flight, Andrew.
Yeah, very nice start that from Lynch. Good sweep shot there from Stokel. Not easy to sweep with such a lack of pace on the ball, and that's, I suspect, what Lynch is opting for here, trying to get the Irish batters to force something. Sometimes you can go with something with hard hands, push a catch.
Little ramp sweep shot from Delaney. There's no real pace to work with though there for that shot. What do you do here to a bowler who's bowling this slow? Do you look to get down the track, wait deep in your crease?
It's probably a judgment on length thing, but you'd like to see maybe a bit of using of the feet coming down the track, trying to get to the pitch.
This one much flatter, pulled out to where the protection is. And again, brilliant work in the deep. Frederick Overdyke has started magnificently in the field, cutting off what looked like a certain two. And two runners who were quick between the wickets as well. Flight it outside the off stump. A really good start from Lynch. Just 4 runs coming from that over. Ireland losing the toss. Batting first, they're 22 for 1. So the beautiful scenes at Malahide. That's up on the Malahide domain. This the second ground here. Obviously, Malahide Cricket Club worked very closely with Fingal County Council to be able to, for days exactly like this, continue youth club games ongoing while we have the international cricket down here in the main ground.
Yeah, great to see. Young girls cricket getting played there. I've played a couple of games up on that mat myself during my time in youth cricket. It's a lovely little ground.
Another change in bowling, back to the opening bowler. Irish willing into the attack, and the first fumble in the deep. Frederick Overdyke, we were talking about how she's going from deep square to deep square. Not easy. Just a little fumble allows them to get back for 2. Good signs of movement again though through the air. Just a nice away shape from Zwilling.
Yeah, she's got a really nice action here, Zwilling. Not a great deal of pace on offer, but lovely natural movement.
And a perfect demonstration of that movement there. Good work with the gloves as well from Babette Deleda. Good technique opening up her right hand to be able to take the away swinger, which looks a really nice natural action. And a big swing and a miss. A heave across the line, really. Netherlands going to be really happy with this start.
Yeah, really happy. They've been absolutely superb, and Lord Delaney going down to have a talk with Rebecca Stokel. I'm sure the Irish coaching staff won't be too unhappy with Stokel trying to take the aggressive option, maybe trying to target a little bit straighter than that one. However, she is so good going down the ground.
Just a push into the offside, a good sliding stop from Silver Seegers. But Stokel will get through for the single. You've seen Stokel being very devastating as a power hitter, but mainly down the ground. Would that be fair to say?
Yep, I think she's working very hard on her game square the wicket, but she is certainly known for that hitting over mid-on and mid-off. Such long levers.
I think what's going to be interesting for me as well here, Andrew, how will the Netherlands approach things after the power play? It almost feels like the tight ring field that they're having to use with only 2 fielders allowed outside the circles almost playing to their benefit at the moment.
I think it's adding a bit of pressure there. It's interesting, that fielder not even at short fine leg, almost at a backward square leg in the ring.
Lots of fielders being picked out at the moment. They're going to have to be quick. Jarlath McCready has a decision to make, and he rules it not out. This looked close.
Yeah, it looked very close, certainly on first glance. Stokel was keen to set off, though. There wasn't any hesitation, which may well have saved her in this instance. Goes straight to point. It's a risky one. And certainly on that replay looks very, very tight, Andrew.
Yeah, tight indeed, and certainly would have been one of those ones that if we had the TV umpire facility in play today, it would have been shape up that TV box, because it would have been going upstairs. A 5th consecutive change of bowling. This is a tactic from the Dutch. The Dutch Brains Trust here this week. Of course, the head coach and assistant coach of the Dutch men's team, that's Ryan Campbell and James Hilditch, are over substituting in and taking the women this week. Reason for that, some illness in the Dutch camp. And of course, talk about two men who know Irish cricket pretty well. They were here with the Irish Wolves down at Oak Hill, playing Netherlands A in May. They obviously had a 2-1 series win over Ireland men in Utrecht in the Cricket World Cup Super League. They're going to be looking to do the double in a way, see if they can take a series win with their women here.
And we can already see this Dutch side look to be very well drilled. They fielded very well so far in the power play.
Nicely guided off the face of the bat. Yeah, it's Isabel Van Der Phonig back into the attack. One of 2 debutants today. Andrew, special day today for both the debutants. In fact, one of those debutants will have to wait, Julia Corder, in the subs bench today. So just Isabel Van Der Phonig winning her maiden T20I cap today. That's a lovely shot. Probably the shot of the day so far. Back across and cut powerfully by Laura Delaney. Pierces the infield. No one in the deep on the offside except for third man. And that runs away for 4.
That's a brilliant shot, this, from Laura Delaney. Again, just a sign of width on offer from Van Der Phonig. But Delaney doesn't miss out. Got out cutting in that Scotland series. This time well and truly over the ball. And once it beats that infield, it's always going to be 4 here in Malahide.
I think if you wanted a demonstration of how to play the cut shot, you will not get a better example than that. Back across, quick, nimble footwork from Delaney, cutting from high to low. In full control of the shot right the way throughout it. And a real flourish through for 4.
Yeah, that's really clever batting from Laura Delaney as well. Having hit that boundary, she's shuffled across this time and finds a single on the leg side. She's been proactive at the crease so far for her 14 of just 12 deliveries. A couple of lovely boundaries, but also finding singles, which is just as key in T20 cricket. Trying to face as few dots as possible.
Hit down the ground and dropped. Wasn't an easy chance. We were just talking about Rebecca Stokel being strong down the ground, and it's Ava Lynch who's had to make a couple of yards to her right. She's got both hands to it, but it's burst through, and thus is the power that Stokel possesses. It runs away for 4.
Yeah, it was a chance. It's a hard chance for Lynch, though, running away to her right at mid-on. Stokel powering that, as we've discussed a couple of times now, Andrew, trying to hit that down towards long on area. Just about had enough power on it.
So that closes out the over, the most expensive one of the innings so far. 11 runs coming from it. And Ireland are going to end their power play 37 for 1. Azam Ali Beg there on your screen, signalling the end of the power play. We'll have a change in commentary. I will stay on with you, Andrew Leonard. I'm delighted to be joined by the former Ireland women's captain, Isabel Joyce. Izzy, how are you?
Good, thanks, Andrew. Delighted to be back at Malahide this time for women's cricket after we had the men last week or a couple of weeks ago.
I was really enjoying listening to you for the Men's Cricket World Cup Super League matches, Ireland-South Africa, here at this very ground. It was a little bit warmer for a couple of those days than today, wasn't it?
Yeah, very warm. I put the long sleeve top on today. It's actually quite muggy, so a bit of regret there, but will stop me getting burnt.
So yet another change in bowling. Frederique Overdyke. No one bowler has bowled consecutive overs, so another change in bowling. It's something we see more and more in the T20 game these days.
Well, it was something we used to see a lot of, actually, and it's kind of gone out of the game a little bit because bowlers find it so hard to get rhythm. But they seem to have it down, these Dutch bowlers.
Yeah, it was kind of very in vogue for a while, wasn't it? And maybe drifted out of vogue. Ryan Campbell and James Hilditch maybe trying to bring it back.
And not something that bowlers enjoy, I don't think. It's quite confusing, and you can, in some ways it's good, I suppose. Batters don't get on top of you, but very difficult for bowlers to get into rhythm.
Driven into the offside and going to be work to do in the deep. 4 fielders allowed outside the circle now, and will be for the rest of the innings. The Dutch splitting those 2 fielders, 2 in the deep, a deep backward square leg, what's really a cow corner, then a third man and a deep cover.
Yeah, it's a strange field. You don't really know where you're trying to bowl with that field. You want to bowl at half of the pitch, so usually see a number like more than 2 out on one side of the pitch. That means you're confident in your line and length, but when you split them like that, it means you might be bowling a few full and a few short.
Yeah, and both mid-off and mid-on in the circle, so it'll be interesting to see if Stokel targets down the ground again. Where she's going to target, but has she got enough of it? She was dropped the over before. She falls now. Ava Lynch is going to be the happiest person anywhere in North Dublin right now, because when you drop a catch and you're watching on as the batter goes about their business, it's the worst place to be. But she got a second chance and she held on this time.
Yeah, just came across it, Rebecca Stokel. She knew straight away she was in trouble. An easier chance for Lynch, straight in the pocket again, and joy for the Netherlands players. Rebecca Stokel goes for 16.
Loving those celebrations. Great to see the double high fives come out. What must it be like? You played incredibly high level of cricket all the way around the world, Izzy, to have what you love taken away from you. No cricket, no international cricket for 690 days for the Netherlands.
It's really tough. I think there'll be nerves, but mostly there'll just be excitement and enjoyment. Doesn't really matter for them what happens today, other than they've got back out on the pitch. A lot of them really debuted in 2019, so they're a group that came together then, and they've had a lot of time together training. That's what we saw from the coaches. They said that they're sick of training, they just want to get out in the pitch. So 4 matches in a week will feel like Christmas.
And the new batter to the crease, Shauna Cavanaugh. And I think if the crowd noise is anything to judge by, quite a few of the Pembroke Cricket Club contingent are in the ground today. In at number 4, wicketkeeper batter. She is not on strike as Laura Delaney gets her favoured cut shot out, and a good half stop from Rabina Raika at backward point. Will Ireland be pleased with this start, having lost the toss and been asked to bat?
I think they'll be a little bit disappointed with their start. 2 wickets down in the first 7 overs. It's obviously 7 gone, 39 for 2. And you can see Rebecca Stokel and Gabby Lewis, they'd want to be making more than that. And Laura Delaney's been an unbelievable touch. So 16 from 16 balls. She'll look to improve that strike rate. And Shauna Cavanaugh has had a bit of a breakthrough season this year, really. Very busy cricketer, very quick between the wickets. And these two are very good friends. So good understanding between them.
What about that Irish batting order, Isabel? Who's going to come in next? We're going to see someone like Ava Richardson maybe up at number 5?
Well, we definitely saw her padded up. I think possibly it was one of those where if Rebecca got out, Richardson was going to come in down the track, and well placed from Delaney. She gets it between those 2 fielders on the boundary. It's the first ball of Annemijn van Buchen's over, and it goes over the rope.
Yeah, lovely batting. Down the track, really good use of the feet. And the new bowler is treated with a little bit of disdain by the Irish captain. She feels like she's going to have to do a lot of the work herself today, in fantastic form, as Andrew was saying, in the domestic game, in the club game here in Ireland. She loves using her feet to the spinners, and she's going to get back-to-back boundaries. How quick is the outfield, Isabel? That flies away rapidly across the turf for 4 more.
Yeah, you can't make a mistake on this outfield. Juliette Post probably went down a little bit too early here. Probably could feel like she could have taken a couple more steps to the side before she made her dive. Wasn't hit that strongly by Laura Delaney. But I think that the bowler will feel a bit aggrieved at 2 Sydney Harbour bridges in a row for 2 boundaries. Again down the wicket, and again she finds the placement. Delaney's really taken a liking to Annemijn van Buchen.
3 consecutive boundaries, each one almost better than the last. In fact, the first shot through the leg side, the second greeted on the full toss. This time though, Delaney turns what's a full length delivery into an out and out half volley by good quick footwork. After such a good start for the Dutch, the 50 comes up for Ireland with 3 consecutive boundaries. 4-4-4. Real pressure on the youngster. What's your take been on... And we're going to see an overthrow. Didn't even really need to throw that, and it's thudded into the shin. Whereas Civilian, who was trying to back up, but it kept it a little bit low on her. Cavanaugh will take strike for the first time. Charlotte McCready just indicating 2 to come. What's your take on the choice of Shauna Cavanaugh to retain the gloves over Mary Waldron, who's back into the squad?
I think it's an interesting one. Shauna has definitely improved her wicket keeping, and we saw her compete really well again in the Scotland series up in Stormont, but Mary is the senior wicket keeper. That being said, maybe it's about the balance of the squad. They wanted an extra bowler in. Shauna was going to be playing no matter what. A bit of miscommunication, but they sorted it out in the end. Ireland 8 down, 8 gone, 53 for 2.
Yeah, Waldron 37 years of age now. Very, very fine with the gloves, there's no doubt about that. But do you feel it's a situation where you kind of you miss out on a couple of series, obviously due to COVID restrictions being away and whatnot, and almost lose your spot as the keeper?
I think so. Shauna did so well in the last series, so it didn't really deserve to lose the gloves. Since then, we've seen a lot of club cricket, and probably Mary is the superior wicketkeeper, but she's been training a lot longer, and she's actually been batting really, really well at the moment, so I know she'll be really disappointed to miss out. But that's the competition that there is this year in this Irish team, especially with the likes of Sophie Mcmahon and Ava Richardson coming in, both all-rounders. So they just didn't need another out-and-out batter in the team.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Isabel, but we're finally going to see the same bowler bowl from the same end 2 overs in a row. Frederic Overdijk will continue from this, the Dublin Road end. Just a little bit of a drop from Babette Delaney behind the stumps allows him through for a bite.
It's a strange one, although maybe it's just because they're outside the power play, so happy to let bowlers back up. Looks like the type of bowler that would actually be nice to face on this wicket. Such a good wicket, and she's quite skiddy, so you're not worried about the bounce. Just bowls generally full, so I think we'll see Laura Delaney hit a few good drives in the next few balls.
Yeah, certainly a little bit of grass left on the wicket by the groundsman Philip Frost. So many people who aren't necessarily familiar with Malahide Cricket Club might arrive here and think, oh, this wicket's not going to play any good, and then it turns into an absolute road. So very high scores, particularly in the ODIs for the Irishmen against South Africa.
Short, just as we say they're going to bowl full. It's short, commentator's curse. But Shauna Cavanaugh couldn't get much on that.
Delaney looks, certainly to me, Isabel, to be in the form of her life with the bat.
She's always dominant in club cricket. Laura is the most competitive person. She never takes anything lightly, so she scores a lot of runs in club cricket. But she's hitting it better now. Well, we were told at the start of the season that she was going to score lots of runs in the Scotland series. A good 2 from Shauna Cavanaugh, just showing her pace. We were told she was going to be the top scorer probably. She's hitting it so well, and then she had a bit of a disappointing series. I know she was probably eyeing up a lot more runs then, but she came out with a little bit of an injury.
This is brilliant work. Again, in the deep, this time at Silver Seegers. Athletically runs around to her right. Good throw in. First little bit of fortune that time for Delaney, and another good stop in the deep. Dutch have been, with the exception of that dropped catch and the little overthrow, been outstanding in the field.
Yeah, they're up and about. They're a very young team, and it's an area that people target, don't they, when they're kind of coming back into cricket, as they're fielding. No matter what, you can be one of the best fielding sides. But she's a little bit off the rope. Lucky that she didn't overrun that down there. That's Isabel Van Der Phonig. Well, it's 9 gone, Ireland 59 for 2.
Where will they be looking now, Isabel? Obviously, Ireland did lose the toss, but It's known as a high-scoring ground, fast outfield, lots of batting in the Irish side, north of 140 perhaps.
I think they'll be eyeing up 160. Lots of batting to come. Orla Prendergast has been batting really well. Emma Richardson has been probably in the form of her life with the bat over in New Zealand in their domestic season. Lara Moritz hits a very big ball, so plenty to come. They'll get through the next few overs, and then they'll be looking mostly for boundaries. So Silver Seegers bowling her second over, this time from the Malahide Castle end.
I think Emma Richardson even named Domestic Player of the Season for the Northern Spirit there then New Zealand this Irish winter, New Zealand summer. She was outstanding for Ireland. The last T20 World Cup qualifier, the one Ireland came up short at, you were over commentating there in Scotland, but she was probably the standout player from an Irish perspective.
Yeah, she's very clear on her game plans. Emma Richardson generally bowls right arm around the wicket off spin when she's playing T20, and bats really well coming in a little bit later, so has all of the shots. You'll see her playing reverses, paddles, coming down the ground. They're going to take on the throw. Really good running from Laura Delaney. Got in and out really, really fast. That's a good result for what was really just a dab to backward point.
Yeah, after so many good pieces of fielding. First really poor one, Rabina Raika just getting her left and right hand in a bit of a tangle and ends up kicking it away to her left. So Delaney, always alert, gets back for a second and will keep the strike. Just short of Rabina Raika this time. It's a really interesting action for leg spin, isn't it? Arm definitely comes from behind the head.
Yeah, and bowls off the wrong foot as well, so a little bit off putting as a batter, and she knows that Laura Delaney likes to come down to spin, so she does bowl quite flat anyway, but she seems to be bowling even flatter to Delaney.
Bowls a very good pace though, nice and flat, not too much elevation for the batters to work with.
Yeah, not really looking to spin it. Quite accurate though, just getting it to skid on, perhaps, especially with the extra grass on that wicket. No, well bowled, but well worked into the leg side. There's a big gap in mid wicket. Didn't quite manage to get it to drop short enough to get the two. That's 10 gone. Ireland 65 for 2.
Yeah, the halfway stage of the first innings of this 4-match T20I series. 6 bowlers used so far for the Netherlands. Almost schizophrenic changes every single time you could imagine there's been a bowling change. Probably the pick of the bowlers so far, Frederique Overdyke. But Ava Lynch looks a nice off spinner as well. Good control from her.
Yeah, a little bit of flight from her. I think a couple of those batters we were mentioning might be eyeing her up to take on later on in the innings. That extra flight sometimes can be quite inviting. A change of bowling. It's Frederique. Oh, same bowler, sorry. Frederique Overdyke comes back for a third.
Finds the block hole immediately. You could hear the real toe of Shauna Cavanaugh's bat there. Thuds into it. Yeah, 3 seamers, 3 spinners used so far. Plenty of options for the Lionesses. And again, more shape on offer.
Yeah, it's a funny one. It's little enough that the wicketkeeper can stand up, but it's enough to miss the outside edge a lot. When she bowls it full and wide like that, it looks like it should go, but the batter's struggling to reach it.
Yeah, I think Kavanagh's role really here with Delaney in such good touch, such good form domestically, looking brilliant in this innings today, is surely to give as much of the strike as possible to her skipper.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a role she's comfortable with. Really good timing from Delaney, but great fielding on the boundary again. It's been a mark of the innings so far. A really good slide in the outfield to save a 4.
Yeah, Silver Seegers again. There, the sister of the captain. Good work, making good ground across to her left. Like a fine bunch of athletes in this Dutch side, and every single run counted. Every single run saved here is a real run that counts for them. It's a deft touch, Isabel. Just a fine tickle behind square on the leg side. We saw this quite a lot in the Scotland series. Fine leg, not a position used with great frequency, and Delaney's exploited that.
Well, she forced the fielder square with some other shots when she was playing to square leg, and Miranda Veringmeyer can only watch that one really as it goes very quickly again over the rope. It's really the first time we've seen her stray in line, and now she's gone short, but there is protection out on the boundary. Silver Seegers throws in well.
Yeah, we'll get those graphics tidied up. 7 runs coming from that over. Single, in fact 8 runs coming from the over. Single to Cavanaugh, and then a 2, 4 and a 1 to Delaney. So that moves the score to 73 for 2 after 11.
You can kind of see at the moment that Cavanaugh, how quick she is between the wickets, is putting pressure on the fielders. That's one of the big things she brings to this batting lineup. Very busy cricketer. You can't afford to fumble for a second. So Silver Seegers 2 full, and Delaney is ready and waiting. A little shuffle down the wicket, and that's a boundary.
Delaney continues to look very much in the form of her life. She's been so good with her feet against all the spinners. That one runs up onto the bank. Would have been a 4 on any ground in the world. Immediate pressure on the spinner. Just makes it so difficult, isn't it, for any spinner when a batter's coming at you, dancing down the track with great control.
Yeah, I think she'll be looking to be shorter rather than fuller against that's Silver Seegers against Delaney anyway. So strong coming down the wicket, not as comfortable when the ball is pitched a bit shorter. Certainly not when it's on the stumps.
Down the track again, and a good stop this time. We've seen one missed in that very position, but the full length dive comes out, drags in what would have run away for another boundary.
The mid-off is very wide. She's moved wide because of the leg spin of Silver Seegers. So Shauna Cavanaugh on the sweep though, and there's no stopping that one. A despairing dive in 45 from Miranda Veringmeyer. First boundary for Cavanaugh.
Beautiful batting. Not a big stray in length at all, but Kavanagh so quick onto that sweep shot, sets a good stable base, gets it behind square on the leg side, and only a despairing dive at 45 fielding position has brought about a change in action. Young leg spinner is going to come around the wicket now. In fact, she's going to come through and around. You really don't see this too often.
Not sure about this option against Cavanaugh. It takes LBW out of the equation, so she can sweep with abandon, and that she does. Let's repeat the dose for Cavanaugh. That's back-to-back boundaries.
Yeah, really clever batting. And just as you said it, I was going to agree with you. Not a good option for a leg spinner here, because you're taking one of your primary methods of dismissal out of the game. And Cavanaugh, we talked about a textbook cut shot earlier from Laura Delaney. That is a textbook sweep shot, getting right on top of the bounce, getting it behind square on the leg side. As soon as it beats the 45 fielder, it's going to run away for 4.
Yeah, she could almost just take her stance down in that sweep position, couldn't she? With Silver Seegers bowling leg spin around the wicket. Retain the same field. She does manage to get it wide outside off, but it's too far outside off. And just overcompensates.
Yeah, right around that guideline for the wide, and if you're the bowler there, you feel maybe a little bit hard done by. Good delivery to finish and close out the 12th over. Ireland 87 for 2.
Ireland starting to motor now. 87 for 2, 8 overs remaining, and plenty of people in to enjoy the cricket. A few spare seats if you're in the area, do pop down. But a good contingent from the Hills. Also Pembroke Cricket Club and Clontarf CC. Just a few of the clubs represented on the boundary line.
Yeah, great to see fans back in. Up to 200 fans allowed in here today. It's probably pushing up right towards that number. It's a first come, first served basis each of these 4 matches. So if you are coming out in future days, the games this week on Tuesday, Thursday and Friday as well, make sure you get out nice and early. Come and enjoy what will hopefully be a slightly sunnier day than today. Very overcast today.
Ava Lynch, she'll bowl her second over from the Dublin Road end. A few changes in field. There'll be 4 on the offside, just 1 boundary fielder out on cover, 5 on the leg side. Lots of protection. Delaney plays into the leg side for a quick single.
Yeah, there it is, a big moment. First ever career T20I 50 for Lara Delaney, the Irish captain. We've spoken at length about her being in the, quite literally, the form of her life, scoring more club runs this season than ever before. And Laura has gone past her career best. Just the 11th, the 12th T20I 50 for Ireland. That's how good a knock it's been today, coming in real quick time as well.
Yeah, brilliantly played by Laura. She'll want to push on now. On the sweep for Cavanaugh. Backward square comes around, so just the one. And she's been in great form, a couple of centuries in a row in club cricket. 1 in T20 and 1 in 50 over cricket. And she does tend to push on. Once she gets a start, she is very difficult to get out. So she'll be eyeing up that mid-off area. Although it's difficult to get it there with off spin around the wicket.
The 50 partnership brought up with that single as well. Isabel came in really good time, 32 deliveries. When these two came together, Ireland were in a spot of bother. They've counter-attacked really, really nicely.
Clever bowling from Lynch. Flighted one and then pulled one down a little bit shorter. Yeah, I like the way that this batting lineup is set up. The biggest strikers probably in the team, Gabby Lewis and Rebecca Stokel opening up, trying to give the team a really good start, and then the kind of work, the engine of the team comes in, Lara Delaney and Shauna Cavanaugh with some power in the back end.
Almost half an appeal there. I wonder, is that maybe flick the pad first coming through? But no appeal really. That 50 for Delaney coming from 36 deliveries, 7 fours. Don't see any 6s today, but it's a really good strike rate. Let's put Ireland in the ascendancy now.
Another ball going past the infield. If there's one thing that they haven't done as well today, the Netherlands, it's stop the ball in the ring. As we bid adieu to Andrew Leonard for now. It's 13 gone, Ireland 91 for 2, and I welcome back Andrew Blair White. Those are the partnerships so far.
Yeah, thanks Isabel. And it's been a brilliant partnership this from Lara Delaney and Shauna Cavanaugh. We saw this up in Stormont with Shauna Cavanaugh being promoted up to number 4 and probably having a breakthrough series for herself. Good to see her carrying on, and Lara Delaney bringing that very good form with the bat in club cricket into her international stage now as well.
We have a change of bowling. First over of the day for the skipper, Heather Seegers, usually opens the bowling. Well, I say usually, it's been a couple of years since they played international cricket, but she certainly did when they played in that series in Scotland. Bowls medium pace away swing. A good start straight away for her and a good length.
Do you think she might be employing the option of maybe bowling the last 4 overs from the Malahide Castle end in a row?
I do doubt that. There's 7 bowlers used and plenty of options for her there. I think they're just going to mix it up as much as they can, as they did at the start. Clever batting from Cavanaugh, down on one knee and a little paddle past 45. The Netherlands might look to change the field soon. That's 3 boundaries Cavanaugh scored in that area. She's good on the sweep and she's done it again.
Yeah, very good this from Shauna Cavanaugh. We see she's got a wide array of sweep shots. This one, the fine paddle. And with a little bit of pace on the ball, that's always going to run away for 4 if you beat short, fine leg. And that's what she's done, and she's playing a canny little innings here. We're going to see a change in the field and see fine leg now going out, which probably is a sensible option.
Yeah, well, what it does as well is it forces Heather Seegers to bowl very straight. She has no third man. Very difficult field to bowl to. Short outside off, pulled this time though by Cavanaugh. And at cow corner, keeping it to 1. I'm surprised not to see her try and take on the point fielder. She's in a lot of space by herself, Robin Reicha. She's got a lot of ground to cover in that point region, and no doubt if it's out there again, Laura Delaney will be aiming for that area. Just doesn't quite get all of it, so just the single. We said probably Ireland be looking for 160. Andrew, is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, well, I suspect that's where they'll be setting their sights. Whether they'll quite get up to 160, not sure. Maybe that 150 mark looks a little bit more attainable. Manages
to find the fielder. Delaney will take her on. An easy single in the end. Bit of a fumble from Robin Reicha in point, but Shauna Cavanaugh just managing to find the sole fielder in a lot of space with that cut shot.
Yeah, should be a little bit disappointed not to find a gap there, Cavanaugh, but it's been the hallmark of this Irish innings, so they've ran really well between the wickets. There's been very little dot balls on offer, and when you can limit those amount of dot balls in T20 cricket, you can get up to those 140, 150 scores.
Clever batting from Delaney. A deft touch. She's guiding that one down to the third man area. And Cavanaugh, quick as she is, she's going to take on the throw. Brilliant running from Ireland. Makes a 2 into a 3. And that brings up the 100 for Ireland at the end of the 14th over. They move to 101 for 2.
Yeah, really good batting from Laura Delaney, just using that gap at short third man that we'd alluded to earlier in the over. And as you say, Isabel, Shauna Cavanaugh, that was probably a 2 for the majority of people on the pitch. She's turned it into a 3, and when you can accrue maybe 10-15 runs like that throughout an innings, it's such a big difference between a score of 140 say and 155, 160.
Absolutely. Ava Lynch bowled a good over. Her second over from this end. She's only gone for 4 in each of those 2 overs so far. Changes her pace up very well. That one's aerial. There's a chance in the deep. It's gone down. Delaney dropped, hitting the deep by Anamine Banbuga. And that was, how costly might this be?
Yeah, it was a sharp chance. She hit it quite well, Laura Delaney, but found the fielder out there at deep mid wicket. Had to take it low down. Just spilling out of the hands.
Goes straight this time. That's a beautiful shot. One bounce and over the rope. That's 4 all the way.
Now, how often have we seen it? When a drop catch goes down, the next delivery goes to the boundary. And this is excellent batting from Laura Delaney, taking the impetus to Lynch here, using her feet, dancing down the wicket, mid off in the ring. And just a 1 bounce 4.
Yeah, really well executed from Delaney. You can't give her a chance at all. She will make you pay more often than not. A drag down, hit strongly. Another chance, this time taken in the deep. Doesn't make the mistake twice. Anamine Banbuga. Disappointment for Delaney. She picked out the same fielder again.
Yeah, she'll be disappointed with this. It was a bit of a drag down from Lynch. It could have gone anywhere. Laura Delaney's just picked out Van Buha on the T mid-wicket boundary, and she'll be relieved to have taken that. A good catch, especially having dropped one just a couple of deliveries previously, but an excellent innings from Laura Delaney. 61 of just 43 deliveries. Was really proactive at the crease early in her innings. Got off got off to her first 10-15 runs with a couple of lovely boundaries and quick singles, and continued that on, and has been the mainstay of this Irish innings so far.
It's a couple of times that Ireland have done it. They've given a chance, it's gone down, and then they've given a second one. You can't afford to do that, but Ema Richardson will no doubt be happy to get out there. She's had the pads on since the start of the innings, so just over 5 overs for her to make an impact on the game, but she won't be facing the batter's cross, so Shauna Cavanaugh on strike. She's hit in front and given out. That's 2 wickets and 2 balls. She went for 1 sweep too many, and you won't get too many easier decisions than that for Azam Beg.
Yeah, Lynch turning this game for the Netherlands now. 2 catches earlier today, and now 2 wickets in 2 deliveries. Shauna Cavanaugh looking again for that sweep shot, but she gets herself well across her stumps as a result. And I suspect that was cannoning into leg stump for Azam Beg. Good from Ava Lynch, and she has 2 for 14 now. Shauna Cavanaugh, another good innings of 21, which would be a little bit disappointing she hasn't kicked on.
Absolutely, the good field placement. She tried to move across to miss the fielder, and it's a really impressive showing from Ava Lynch. Dropped catch first ball of the over, a magnificent 4 second ball, and then she's taken 2 wickets and 2 balls. Not easy as a spinner to keep your nerve like that. Now Lara Moritz comes to the wicket. 2 of Ireland's most attacking batters. Lara Moritz is delighted to be moving her way up the order. An unusual technique, but really exciting to watch. She goes down on the one knee straight away, that one going down the leg side, so no real danger. It just hits the pad. And Richardson finally on strike. She's watched it all happen down the other end.
Yes, indeed. It just goes to show now the depth in this Irish batting lineup, though, when you think we still have Orla Prendergast, Sophie Mcmahon still to come in. Both excellent batters in their own right, coming in, I assume, probably at 7 and 8 respectively. It's good signs for Irish cricket, though, that this batting lineup is beginning to go all the way down, and plenty of power hitters in there as well for T20 cricket.
Yeah, there's a left-handed Leah Paul as well down there. A sweep again from Richardson and a muted appeal. So an eventful over from Ava Lynch. I think she'll feel like she came out on top. 15 gone, Ireland 108 for 4.
Yeah, very good fight back there from Lynch to take those 2 key wickets. The 2 in batters, Laura Delaney for 61 and Shauna Cavanaugh for 21.
I really like this decision to bring Lara Moritz up the order. She can play with freedom, knowing that proper batters are coming in behind her. And she'll like to face the spin as well. Something about her swing just helps it go over the rope. She's one of Ireland's players that likes to hit sixes. And the move to Phoenix Cricket Club has suited her well. She's batted excellently in club cricket so far this year.
She played a game also for the Phoenix men's first team in the Premier Division T20 competition, just going to show how much work she's put in and that it's being well rewarded at Phoenix as well. Very powerful hitter. And we'll see her pace bowling later today.
Silver Seegers, full toss straight away to Lara Moritz, and it's been called a no ball. I think that's quite harsh actually. Difficult to see from this angle, but this will be a free hit. A nice welcome to the crease for Richardson.
Yeah, always a great opportunity when you haven't got off the mark to have a free hit.
Well, I think they're bringing square leg in. They can change the field because the batters changed ends, and unfortunately they don't seem to realise that Richardson loves to get on the sweep, although she did play one last over, so I think we'll see her shuffle across and look to lift it over square leg, because that's where the space is. Of course, only 4 fielders allowed outside the ring in women's cricket, so it's usually one area that's very free. She does go over, but misses.
Well, that was an incredible stance from Ema Richardson there. She's actually taking her stance almost on the wide line of the off stump. Very interesting to see a replay of that, but she's gone for that sweep shot with square leg in the ring.
One of the things is that the wide line actually goes with the batter when they move to the offside, but you can't bowl it off the cut strip. So if you take your stance over at the wide line on the offside, the bowler really has to bowl it at the stumps. Looks for the sweep for the third time, and this time it comes off. Doesn't bother running, Emma Richardson. That one's raced away for 4.
Yeah, lovely shot from Richardson. This is exactly where she would have wanted it for that favoured sweep shot. Again, seeing that square leg being almost on square, and you'd have to think, given the amount of runs we've seen backward of square on the leg side, that fielder might be 5 or 10 yards backward, but very good placement from Richardson, finding that gap. Gets her first boundary.
They seem to have very specific fielders that they'll allow go on the boundary. The Netherlands, every time they change the field, it's one of 4 or 5 who'll go out, so they have put that 45 out in the boundary. Richardson opts to hit straight, but comes off the inside edge, and they won't get back for a second. A good throw in the deep. That's Iris Svilling. I think this is the right field for Richardson, but probably not for Moritz. He likes to hit down the ground. As she goes on the pull. Good awareness from Richardson.
Yeah, yet again scampering through for singles there, Ireland, like they have done all day today.
Doesn't look like the easiest wicket to come in on. Both batters have struggled a little bit. Caught between coming down the wicket and playing across the line, Richardson. So opted to kind of play a heave in the end. They'll be looking to score about 10 and over from here on out, so that will push them up to 150, 160. And a wicket to close out the 16th. Just couldn't decide how to play that one, Moritz. Played the wrong line. That's sent off stump, tumbling.
Yeah, it's all bowled. This from Seegers, giving it plenty of air, and Moritz looking to hit that one down the ground, perhaps profiting from mid-on and mid-off being in the ring, trying to get Moritz to hit over the top, but just not playing down the right line there. And Moritz coming up to 6, doesn't yield any success today, but as you say, Isabel, I don't think it's the wrong idea from an Irish perspective. I think the more and more Moritz comes to the crease at that time, the more and more she is going to succeed. But Orla Prendergast is going to come in at number 7, fresh off a player of the match performance for Pembroke against Merrion in the Senior Cup final on Friday night, and she certainly is an excellent player. We'll see her opening the bowling later on today, and it's another great opportunity for the strong Pembroke contingent to give her a big cheer coming to the crease.
Yeah, popular player. A quiet woman, I'd have to say, but does all her talking with her batting and bowling. A really sweet timer of the ball. Sometimes can hit the ball a bit uppish at the start of her innings. Doesn't quite get the timing of the wicket maybe, but once she's in, she can hit a really big ball. It seems a bit low actually for her coming in at 7, but such is the strength of this batting lineup. So Heather Seegers from the Dublin Road end. An interesting lap shot from Emma Richardson. Wasn't really there for the shot, but she managed to get something on it. Does like to try and play every shot in her armoury whenever she comes out to bat.
Yeah, she certainly doesn't opt away from innovation, especially early in her innings, Richardson. But that's why she's been quite successful with the bat in hand, because she targets probably stranger areas of the field where the fielders aren't there.
They take on the fielder mid-wicket, but Orla Prendergast is lightning. She knew as soon as she hit it, she'd get down the other end. Bit of a fumble from Robina Reicha means she just scampered through. So what area will Richardson look to go now? The space is really on the offside. There's 5 fielders on the leg side. Goes again for that lap. But unsuccessful again. I'd like to see her just play down the ground myself. There's space over mid-off. And there's a huge area on the offside between extra cover and cover.
There probably isn't quite the pace on the ball to be playing this sort of shot. She'll have her own ideas here, Richardson.
Goes leg side, chance again, but drops short of square leg. She's pretty lucky she didn't get more on that, Richardson. Giving a chance to Juliette Pust out in the deep.
Yeah, Pust did quite well here. Sometimes quite difficult when it just lands in front of you. You can sometimes let that one through the legs for 4, but she's gotten a knee on it, stops it most crucially, and it's only a single. It's been a good over so far from Seegers.
Goes leg side, or goes to the offside and looks to beat mid-off. A really good chance for a run out for Iris Zwilling. Looks to have a good throwing technique but misses the stumps. A really good over from the skipper here. Just 4 singles from 5 balls so far.
And she'll most importantly be looking to get out of her over here without a boundary.
And that she does. Just the 5 from it. A valuable over for the Netherlands. That's 17 gone. Ireland 122 for 5.
Just having a look at that worm there going through the Irish innings. Such a good partnership there from Lara Delaney and Shauna Cavanaugh for that 3rd wicket, but as you can see, just a little cluster of wickets there which has probably stemmed the momentum later in this innings. And we were saying that 160 was maybe what they were aiming for. It looks like they might come up a bit short of that now.
Yeah, a few too many wickets late on in the day. Lara Delaney was really impressive for her 61 from just 43 balls. Stokel a little bit slow up top. She made 16, and it's Richardson and Prendergast who'll have to push the momentum going into the bowling innings. Still 3 overs to go, and plenty of time to get it to a really competitive total. They'll be looking to pass the 150, you'd imagine. Iris Zwilling changing ends. She'll be coming from the Malahide Castle end. Down the ground from Richardson. Cheers from the sideline and from the Irish camp. They enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it was an excellent shot this from Eva Richardson. It was probably in the slot from Zwilling, but just powering that one down the ground, showing her strength down the wicket this time round. Just a 1 bounce 4. Gets her onto 13.
Bit straighter from Zwilling, but she'll repeat the dose. Eva Richardson really strong down the ground. A better option on this wicket and against these bowlers to play down the ground rather than backward of the wicket. That's double boundaries.
Yeah, really good start to this 18th over, and just after a good over for the Dutch, only going for 5 in the 17th. Already 8 from just the first 2 deliveries. Keeping this field mid-on and mid-off up.
Top edge, but the fine leg has gone back. That's exactly where the fielder had been before all those sweep shots forced fine leg out in the boundary. Lots of protection on the leg side. And Orla Prendergast will be eyeing up that straight boundary as well. Really strong down the ground. Both tall cricketers. She set the field for shorter bowling and then bowled very full, Iris Zwilling. Apart from that last delivery. Again, wide of mid-on and straight mid-wicket. Just about can't reach it. Beautifully played by Orla Prendergast for her first boundary of the day.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot from Prendergast all the way along the ground. Past mid-on. You just have to think here, what are their plans from Zwilling? As you say, field set for probably into the pitch bowling, and yet 3 of the 4 have been well and truly up in the slot.
Shuffle down the ground, and that's the class of Prendergast. Straight of that cover fielder on the boundary. They'll get 2 easily. so strong down the ground. It's been an expensive one so far for Netherlands.
Yeah, it's good fielding this though from Silver Seegers, who's been excellent on both boundaries all day. Keeping this one to just 2, but it's been the over Ireland would have wanted.
A slower ball, almost gifted a catch to the skipper, who doesn't quite reach, has a despairing throw at the non-striker's end. It's been an eventful over. 16 from it.
Yeah, been excellent batting here from Richardson and Prendergast. How often have we seen Emma Richardson come in at this time for Ireland and score quick runs? And we all know the power that Prendergast also possesses. The highest run scoring over of the innings, as you can see there on the Manhattan. A few skyscrapers in there throughout the entirety of this innings, and overall you'd have to think it's been well constructed.
Yeah, what I like about this batting lineup is it's well weighted, and it's also showing if you've got someone who's good in a position, just because they perform, don't move them up the order. Emma Richardson really, really good at coming in the last 6 overs of an innings, and when she gets moved up the order tends to score more slowly. So leave her down at 5, 6, 7 and let her do what she does well. So it's Isabel Van Der Phonig from the Dublin Road end. Prendergast gives a chance and it's spilled. Another drop from Netherlands. A sharp chance, but a chance nonetheless. And will we see Orla Prendergast be the one that makes Netherlands pay for a dropped catch?
Yeah, very interesting to see. Yet again, we're seeing the tactic of mid-on and mid-off being in the ring. I'd say that's where Prendergast is eyeing up.
That's a huge hit. 6 all the way. The first maximum of the day. Imperious from Prendergast.
Absolutely superb, and adding salt into the wounds there after the drop catch the previous delivery. It was just in that hitting arc of Prendergast, and the long levers came into play, and that's cleared the boundary rope by a good 15-20 yards there. An incredible shot. Just shows the power, and it does prompt a fielding change. Long off now coming, or mid off should I say, going back to long off, and fine leg now coming back into the circle to short fine leg, which I suspect against Prendergast is probably the right option, because she does favour going down the ground and square the wicket.
Shuffles down, goes over the bowler's head, and the fielder down at long off won't be able to cut that off. 6 and then a 4.
Yeah, seriously good batting this from Prendergast. Had to get it into a very acute angle there for this to go away for 4, with long off being very straight on the rope. It's gone right over the umpire's head. It's scuttled away for 4. Really excellent batting this. Another
change in the field. Cover comes in. Mid-on goes back to long on. I think they might have made a mistake here, because she's also very good over cover, Orla Prendergast. We keep her up to the stumps though. Well bowled to her field. I think if it was me setting the field, I'd be bringing that square leg in and having cover out, and that way you're bowling at half the ground, well, full and straight or just outside off. And she can't bowl anywhere wider than middle stump, or she will struggle to keep the runs down. She does target that area, Prendergast, but just a single. And Richardson has 1 ball to make an impact on this over, the penultimate of the innings.
Yeah, with Ireland 149 for 5. 7 deliveries left in their innings. I know probably the figures won't reflect it, but I've been quite impressed by Van Der Phonig on her debut.
Looks to play the ramp shot again, and she'll have to hurry. If that had hit, she was in big trouble, Emma Richardson. That'll close out the 19th over. Ireland crossing the 150 mark there, 5 down. I don't mind her playing that shot now, that long off and long on her back. That's where the space is. I still think she'd be better off playing in front of the wicket, but
As you say, Isabel, it's all about where your boundary options might be, and with third man and fine leg in the ring, you can potentially go about playing that shot. But this has been a really important partnership. The innings was slightly stilting a little bit. 3 quick wickets around that 14th, 15th over period. But these two have put on 33 in just 3 overs. And it's really changed the dynamic and changed the momentum of this game.
yeah, spot on. It's a big over for Netherlands. Frederica Overdijk will be delivering it. Ireland looking to get north of 160. Been impressed with the accuracy of Netherlands today. Very few extras considering how long they've been out of international cricket. Won a ball, she'll take that this over.
Yeah, good start from Overdijk, who bowled a good 3-over spell from the Dublin Road end earlier in the innings. Just going for 15 runs, taking an important wicket of Rebecca Stokel as well in that spell.
Made off up. But goes leg side, it's too short. You can't bowl there to Orla Prendergast. Just the one bounce and she's dealing in boundaries.
Another excellent shot from Prendergast, who moves to 24 from just 11 deliveries. This one again, just off that length, it seems to be sitting up and begging to be hit all day today here in Malahide. And yet again, excellent placement from the Irish batters.
Again, 3 fielders out on the leg side, just the one on the offside and cover. So she opts to go that area, but doesn't quite get it straight enough. They're going to take on the throw though. Orla Prendergast, so quick, such an athlete, gets back with ease. So frustrating as a fielding side when batters are that good between the wickets.
Yeah, well, they've been very good all day, Ireland, just turning those singles into twos into threes. Saw Shauna Cavanaugh and Lara Delaney do it to such great effect in the middle overs, which can be so important.
They take on the fielder again. They won't go for the run out though. Happy to take singles at this stage. We saw the fielder kind of hang back there, didn't we? Just waiting for the second bounce, and that was perhaps the reason why Ireland were able to come back for a 2. So 2 balls remaining. Richardson on strike. Looks down the ground, a chance in mid-off and taken. Just didn't quite get all of it, Richardson. Got it on the bottom of the bat. Another catch for Netherlands. So Richardson goes for 19, the second last ball of the innings.
Yeah, it was the right option from Richardson. It's a good catch this at mid-off, not easy. Running around. It's well taken. Closes out what was a handy cameo though from Emma Richardson, 19 off 15. And most importantly, with an excellent partnership with Orla Prendergast, has brought Ireland up to near that 160 figure.
It's a nightmare for a batter, isn't it? Come in for 1 ball. Orla Prendergast was trying to cross, but Emma Richardson was having none of it. She just stood there and watched the ball be caught. So Leah Paul will have to face the final delivery of the innings. She's the only left-hander in the team, so difficult for Netherlands to reset the field for 1 delivery. One delivery to make an impact with the bat for Leopold. Hits it into the leg side. Plenty of space out there. She calls 2 straight away, and Orla Prendergast was in and out like a flash. So that will bring up the 160 for Ireland. 160 for 6, the final total. Netherlands will have to make 1 more to win the game. That's match 1 in the Ireland against the Netherlands T20 International Challenge. The toss was won earlier by the Netherlands and they chose to bowl. Ireland have posted a really competitive total 160 for 6. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you in almost 10 minutes, but before then we'll have a look at some of the batting and bowling so far.
Yeah, you'd have to think Ireland will be pretty happy with that effort. 160 for 6. Well constructed innings throughout. And having a look at that Ireland card there, Lara Delaney, the mainstay, the captain, in such brilliant form with the bat in club cricket. 61 for her off just 43 deliveries, well aided by Shauna Cavanaugh in the middle there with 21 off 19. And then a vital partnership at the end, Orla Prendergast starring, 27 not out off just 13 deliveries alongside Ava Richardson, who had 19 from 15 herself. They put on 36 for that 6th wicket partnership before Richardson was dismissed in the final over, which was an excellent effort. And overall, the Netherlands women, some of those figures won't necessarily reflect how well some of them bowled, but Frederique Overdijk with her 2 for 24 from 4, and Ava Lynch very impressive with her 2 for 14 from 3 overs. She might feel a little bit aggrieved she didn't get a 4th over of her off spin. Absolutely excellent. And the youngster and debutant Isabel Van Der Phonig took the key wicket of Gabby Lewis in the power play. And even though she went for 29 runs from her 3 overs, she showed an awful lot of potential. So plenty to work on for the Netherlands. It's their first international game in 690 days, of course. And I think they're more than entitled to have had a little bit of time to be rusty at the start, but very little extras bowled. The fielding overall was excellent, and they've managed to restrict Ireland to 160 for 6. So that completes the Ireland innings, and the Netherlands will require 161 with the run chase due to commence in around 10 minutes time. As you're seeing on your screen there, the pitch getting a light roll from the Malahide staff, who've been very busy in the last week or two with the South African series here, the 3-match one-day international series that finished 1 apiece, and the first T20 international. But before we get back for the run chase, we're going to continue on with our Beyond the Boundary segment, and we're going to join Andrew Leonard and Isabel Joyce.
Yeah, welcome to Beyond the Boundary, the halfway stage of the first match of the T20 International Challenge Series between Ireland and the Netherlands. I've got Isabel Joyce with me to my right. Isabel, really good start for Ireland, 160 for 6. They'll be very pleased with that, having lost the toss.
Yeah, well, we said 160 is probably what they were aiming for. I think Lara Delaney will be delighted that she's got a good score, her first 50 in T20Is, and Orla Prendergast, how good was she at the end? Really good to see her making a splash.
I think to give you credit, it was you that said they're going for 160. You nailed it right on the head.
Yeah, I'm setting a little bit of a precedent there. I called a few correctly in the last few weeks, so I'm putting myself under pressure, but yeah, I think that's what they were aiming for, and they'll be delighted they got there.
What we're going to have a little bit of a chat about is the upcoming T20 World Cup qualifier for the European region, which will be held in La Manga from the 26th to the 30th of August. And it's a qualifier with great context, like all of the ICC qualifiers, but the reason this one has so much context for Ireland women is what happened about 2 years ago in Scotland. That was the main T20 World Cup qualifier, which is the step above the European region. And the consequences of that for Ireland weren't just the fact that they didn't qualify for the main T20 World Cup in Australia, but it meant that they now dropped down to the regional qualifier.
Yeah, it's huge. It's, only one team comes out of it. There are 6 teams, plenty of teams that know nothing about, really. Not a lot of footage out there, but in some ways I think that's a good thing for this team. They play a lot of cricket against each other. They're used to playing people that they know, that they can prepare game plans for. We saw out there Gabby Lewis getting out to a bowler she probably hasn't seen before, playing a shot she probably shouldn't have played, and it's because she's so used to specific bowlers. She knows exactly how she's going to play them. So now, going into this qualifier, good to face a team here, first of all, that they're not really that used to, and then in those qualifiers, lots of people that they won't be used to again, so kind of nearly preparing for that.
It's nearly 2 years on from that last qualifier. It was September 2019. It's a different world. We've lived through COVID and the crazy times that we've lived in, but it's also a very different Irish side. It's a young side, it's a side with great energy and vigour. It was Bangladesh and Thailand that took the 2 qualification spots from that, but the first task for Ireland has to be to go out to Spain and get past 5 other sides. So it's going to be Ireland, Scotland and Netherlands. They know plenty about those 2 sides, having played Scotland up the road in Stormont and Netherlands now here, but they'll also have to come up against the wild cards of Germany, who are being impressive in recent times. They're developing their women's game in a big way, and also France and Turkey, and Ireland might not know, as you say, a huge amount about either of those sides in particular.
Yeah, possible banana skins, and that's where professionalism comes in. We've got some part-time professionals in the team. They'll all be desperate to make a mark. And the other thing that's really good for this Irish team is there's such competition to get, not just in the 11, but actually in the squad of 14 or 15 that goes there. So that competition means that they are under pressure in their club cricket, in their Super Series cricket. They're having to perform to get not only in the squad and the team, but actually batting places. We've seen Leah Paul come in right at the end there. She's used to opening the batting. Oder Prendergast usually bats in the top 4 for her club. So that kind of pressure is really good breeding ground for good cricket then when they go to this Europe qualifier.
Yeah, if we talk about the rankings for a second, the rankings can be a little bit deceiving at points. Ireland will be the top ranked side of the 6 going out to Spain. Ireland ranked 10th at the moment. Scotland, do you feel they'll be the main competition, ranked 13th? Netherlands 22nd in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. They've got some quality cricketers in the Scotland team, and we've seen that by the fact that they've got a number of players playing in the 100. The 2 spinners, the spinner Abtah Maksud, and then the 2 sisters, Sarah and Catherine Bryce. They've been super impressive of late in international cricket and also in county cricket.
Yeah, Abtah Maksud outstanding in the 100 the other evening. I think three wickets in her spell. Would you love to see Gabby Lewis and Oder Prendergast and the likes of the Irish stars on the pitch? Would you like to see them over at the 100?
Absolutely. I think they could really make their mark in that competition. I think Lara Moritz is another one who would be, could feel aggrieved that she isn't over there. 3 cricketers who we've seen a lot of, obviously, but Oder Prendergast here, there are very few cricketers of that age who can play the way that she does, both with bat and ball and in the field. She really is a triple threat. Gabby not quite bowling as much these days, but just plays 360. So yeah, hopefully they can make a mark in the next year or 2 and finally get over there.
It's just over a month till this Irish side will fly out, just like the Netherlands out to La Manga in Spain. It's a facility that they'll have a little bit of familiarity with, and the 5 matches between the 6 sides looks like they're going to be played over 5 days. It's going to be really short and sharp and intense. If they can get through that, they go back then to the main qualifier, where there'll be 2 spots to go to the T20 World Cup. You represented Ireland yourself in many T20 World Cups. Do you think there's enough talent in this group to get back to the global stage?
Yeah, I think they can get back there and they can do what we never did, which is win games at a World Cup. I was talking to Scorer and Cricket Leinster President Stella Downs there. She said, "Do you not feel like you want to be out there playing still?" And I said, "Nope, because I wouldn't get in this team." I don't think at the moment. They're really, really strong group, especially batting wise, I think. And then they've got really good variation in their bowling. I think that what will set them apart from the other teams at this qualifier and from teams in the past is the strength in the squad. The 11 doesn't just pick itself. It's not like there's 10 names on the team sheet and people are fighting for one spot. I think that the fact that there's that many games in a short period of time means Joyce can rotate his squad and not feel like he's weakening the team.
Yeah, 3 major changes to the squad and 3 really experienced cricketers coming into it. Sophie Mcmahon, Mary Waldron and Emma Richardson back into the side. Emma Richardson and Mary Waldron back after stints overseas. Sophie Mcmahon coming back after work commitments meant that she missed out against Scotland. It feels to me, certainly we've only seen a half of one match so far, but there's been progress and development even since that Scottish series up in Stormont.
Well, that was the first time they've played, isn't it? So it's the first time that their coaching team has seen them out really playing together. So little tweaks and bits and pieces will have been going on in the background. I know Cara Murray will be disappointed that she's not able to push herself into the team. She's got injured at a training session recently, so she's also going to be pushing for a spot next month, no doubt. That means there's 2 leg spinners and probably only one will travel. They've got a couple of off spinners, Rachel Delaney not in the team today, and then they've got 2 top quality wicket keepers. Mary Waldron disappointed to miss out today, having scored highly in club cricket recently.
Okay, Isabel, the sides are just starting to get ready to go back. I've one final question for you. I want to put you on the spot. Ireland started the series poorly up in Stormont against Scotland, losing the first game. They couldn't chase down that paltry total, lost by 11 runs. Are they going to go 1-0 up here, and what's the final score in the series going to be?
I think they're going to go 1-0 up and it's going to be 4-0. I think it was nerves with the bat having last been out, losing when they should have won in that qualifier that we spoke about in 2019. They put that to bed game 2, and I think that's completely out of the system. I think the form that Laura Delaney showed there today, she's leading from the front, and they've got a really good chance to win at 4-0.
It's a confident Isabel Joyce for a confident Ireland women's team. They're on top at the moment. They posted 160. It's a big score. Can the Netherlands women chase it down? Let's go and find out with Andrew Blair-White.
Well, thank you to Andrew Leonard and Isabel Joyce there for a fascinating discussion on those upcoming European T20 qualifiers for these two sides. And this is a brilliant preparation for both of them in this 4-game series here in Malahide. And as you can see on your screens there, that Irish team coming back on. Our standing umpires today, Jarlath McCready and Azam Ali Beg. And Ireland have set an imposing score of 160. It'll be interesting to see how the Netherlands batters approach it. And after coming straight from beyond the boundary, I'm joined again by Isabel Joyce, and you were fairly bullish that the Irish were in the driving seat here, and you'd have to think 160 was maybe a little bit above par.
I think probably par is 140, so 20 over that, and it'll be a nervous innings for Netherlands. It's been almost 2 years since their last outing on the international stage. They're without a couple of their stars, Stair Callis in particular, really important for this team. She's playing in the 100 at the moment, so won't be here.
Yeah, we're going to see Orla Prendergast open the bowling from the Malahide Castle end. She goes good in swing. We're going to see Frederique Overdyke, who starred with the ball for the Netherlands, open the batting with the captain Heather Seegers. I suppose, as you mentioned, a couple of notable omissions in this Netherlands side through the 100, through work commitments. Gives a great opportunity for other younger players to step up.
Well, I suppose going into the qualifiers later in the summer, it gives the coaches an opportunity to look at a couple of other players, decide what their final 11 is going to be. Well, here we go. Orla Prendergast, full and straight, hits the pad straight away, and there we see that movement in that we've got so used to from Prendergast.
Yeah, it's good natural movement and a decent pace as well. Be interesting to see who she opens with, but I'd hazard a guess it will be Ava Canning, who will also bring the ball sharply into the right-handers, but at a much different type of pace, much slower. They actually complement each other really nicely.
Flirting with the outside edge, Frederique Overdyke. She's not hanging around. It's a shot of ball from the opener. Of course, it is a big total to chase down, and even 8 and over. But Orla Prendergast a little bit fuller than usual, possibly a little bit tired after her late flurry of runs. She usually bowls it into the pitch a bit more, likes to hit the top of off stump. And she's back on her usual length. She's been so impressive since coming into this Irish setup. Just stayed out of the Ireland team for a few years. Wanted to wait until she's a bit older, which I think is a good decision. I've seen so many players debut very young, and very few of them stay in the team into their 20s. Gabby Lewis, probably most unusual. We saw Lena Tice playing in the Olympics this week. She made her debut at 13. Oh, what a ball from Prendergast, hands to head. Inside edge gets Frederique Overdyke off the mark.
Yeah, not convincing whatsoever. Prendergast bringing this ball sharply back into the right-hander. And she played a very high level of youth football as well, Orla Prendergast, and I think it was probably the right option when she was in school to be pursuing both sports. And since finishing senior school, she's really developed and put her hand up to be a cricketer and to lead this Irish attack at a young age, also contributing good runs in the middle order as well, as we saw earlier.
Prendergast just losing a run up. There are 2 fielders laid outside the ring. Their third man and fine leg. And if you're just joining us, this is match 1 of the T20 International Challenge between Ireland and Netherlands. Netherlands won the toss and elected to bowl, and Ireland posted a good total of 160 for 5. Lara Delaney, she top scored with 55.
Yeah, good start from Prendergast this, and I suppose it's the luxury for Ireland when you've got a big score like that on the board. You look at the likely bowlers. There's 3 spin options that I can see, certainly, with Celeste Rackley, Paul and Ema Richardson. And for spinners, it's always nice to have that luxury of a few more runs on the board to play with.
Goes straight, doesn't get all of it. Good hand in mid-off, but they will come back for 2. A sprawling dive from Sophie Mcmahon. So that's the end of the first 3 from it. And Ireland look up and about as Ava Canning makes her way. She'll be bowling from the Dublin Road end. As you say, a very different pace to Orla Prendergast, but that extra bit of height makes it very difficult to face her.
Yeah, making her debut in that Scottish series up in Stormont. She played all 4 games. I thought she was absolutely excellent with the control she showed, given it was her first couple of games. She'll be looking to do the same here. Really good exponent of the new ball. It is, as we've mentioned, relatively slow medium pace, but exaggerated movement into the right-hander, and can sometimes from that height almost dip on the batter, which, as you said, Isabel, can make it very difficult to get away. Usually very tight with her lines as well.
I said Lara Delaney top scored with 55, but it was in fact 61. Next highest score was Orla Prendergast, made 27 from just 13 as Ava Canning approaches. A little bit too close to leg stump, but lots of protection on the leg side. 3 in on the ring and deep mid wicket. That's Gabby Lewis. Her other fielder out is Cover.
Yeah, well, in comparison to Prendergast, it's bowling at that sharper pace where you might need the fielders behind square. For Canning, you can probably afford to have third man and fine leg in the ring.
Aerial, but manages to get it between the 2 fielders. Just got the inside half of the bat of Frederick Overdyke. Already these batters showing that it's difficult to face Canning with her sharp in-swing.
It was a bit of a teaser there for Leah Paul at mid-wicket over her head. Interesting to see a change of field for Seegers. Long on goes back, and Gabby Lewis moves into proper deep mid-wicket there. Cover up into the ring.
Looks to pull it. Just hasn't quite got her line here, Canning, and that's the issue with having this field long on. And deep mid-wicket means she has to make sure she bowls on the stumps. Can't stray outside off stump. But Heather Seegers is so strong on the leg side. Lara Moritz has really made that point position her own in the last few months. Really improved her fielding since going over and coming back to and from Australia. Ava Canning, I think, has been the real surprise package of this year. Burst onto the scene in that Scotland series. That's more like it. That's what we've grown accustomed to seeing. Difficult length outside off, spearing into off stump.
Yeah, she seems to have a very good temperament for one so young. Obviously had last summer out injured as well, which could have easily stunted the growth of her as a player. Has come back this year, been excellent in the Super Series.
That's sharp movement in. It swung in and looked like it moved in off the scene. Living dangerously with that running. It's 2 gone. Netherlands 6 without loss.
Yeah, it's been a good start from Ireland. With the ball, no freebies given. Especially when you've got a few runs on the board. Just crucial, the more and more overs Ireland can bowl without any boundaries, pressure will build. That required run rate starting off at just over 8, already up to 8.61 now, and it will continue to rise and rise if the Dutch batters can't get a couple of boundaries away. But both Prendergast and Canning causing early problems there.
Yeah, they're improving week on week, it looks like. 2 very young bowlers. Huge amount of work going in the last 18 months. Good field placement, straight to the fielder in mid-wicket. I'm looking forward to speaking to the returning cricketers. I've seen Mary a couple of times, but Ema Richardson, I'm hoping, will be delighted to see the improved squad that she's joining. It was disappointment for her and for the team in 2019 when they didn't qualify for the 2020 World Cup. Beautifully bowled again from Prendergast. Really difficult to get away. You can see Frederique Overdyke stepping to the side. She's not sure how to get on top of Prendergast.
Yeah, it's certainly difficult, especially when there's been no width offered, nothing to really get the hands through. You feel something's going to have to happen in the next over or two. Big shot, it could yield a boundary, it could yield a wicket.
They thinking about taking on the fielder, but sent back by the skipper. Saw Frederique Overdyke warming up before the game. Hits a clean ball and looks like she's used to hitting boundaries by the way she was batting in there. So not something she's used to, being tied down by the opening bowlers. Prendergast is seeming to struggle a little bit with her run-up. Has a funny little toe step before she starts it. Oh, nothing wrong with that. 4 dots inside the power play in a row. Valuable dots from Prendergast.
Yeah, it's excellent bowling, but also, as you can see here, the Dutch batter is just struggling a little bit, even for strike rotation. We saw the Irish batters earlier this afternoon rotate the strikes so well, even off good deliveries, getting singles.
I'll have a look at the bottom of your screen. The current run rate, 2.12, and the required run rate moves above 9 for the first time. That's T20 cricket. You can't afford dot balls. It just forces the required run rate up so quickly. And the run rate of just over 2 isn't going to cut the mustard. Bit of width, but straight to the fielder again. Gabby Lewis tidying up in cover, and the first maiden of the day. There's 3 gone. Netherlands still 6 without loss.
An excellent over from Orla Prendergast, again leading by example with the ball in hand. But from a Netherlands perspective, you just can't afford to be facing maidens in the power play. It is difficult.
With the game poised where it is, do you force for wickets or just try and strangle the opposition and force them to take risks and perhaps get themselves out?
I'd say what they're doing right now is probably fair enough from Laura Delaney and the bowlers. They're looking to just build dot balls, hoping that can lead to wickets.
Bit of room down the ground, but Richardson comes around to cut it off. It takes an awkward bounce, and that's the first boundary of the day for Netherlands.
A strong shot from Seegers, who looks very strong down the ground. Second time already that she's powered one down here. She's been a bit starved of the strike so far. Gets this one, but Ema Richardson's got a fairly rotten bounce there. Just gone straight below her.
With again, and through the offside, Lara Moritz gives chase. She'll manage to cut that off. I think there was a half stop from Prendergast. Take on the third. And that's really good running from Netherlands.
Yeah, good running this from Overdyke to get back for 3. Prendergast will be a little bit disappointed. 2 small misfields in a row from Ireland there have cost them a couple of runs. Seegers looking strong with the bat in hand.
Again but straight to the fielder. It's a little bit off her line now, Canning.
I think in a situation like this, though, when you've got Seegers who's 9 off 5 deliveries, Overdyke is struggling, 3 off just 16. She's just got to find a way to get a single, get off strike in some way, whether she can get one into that leg side gap, just push one down for a single to cover.
Well, she's going to take on mid-off, pushes it wide of mid-off, so a good run, especially considering Sophie Mcmahon is right-handed. So a few more runs starting to flow for Netherlands. Required run rate is an even 9 and over. So the 2 fielders out, long on and deep straight mid-wicket. Hits it down to long on. Chance for Richardson. Spilled. Those are always tough ones. Didn't know whether to go for it or not. Ended up trying to take it by her shins and doesn't manage to take the chance.
Yeah, especially when it's dipping slightly at long on. Quite difficult to pick up the depth of the white ball sometimes. Seegers is quite eager to be trying to hit that ball at that length down the ground.
It's a good example of bowling to someone's strength, isn't it? She bowled it right into that hitting area of Seegers, but the fielding not backing up the bowling. It's the end of the 4th. It's a good one for Netherlands, 9 from it. They move to 15 without loss.
Yeah, an expensive over, the 9 from it, but Ava Canning at the same time can probably feel a little bit aggrieved. A couple of misfields in there, a drop chance. Can so often go the other way on another day. Good to see. These Dutch openers are now beginning to take a few more aggressive options.
Well, Heather Seegers hasn't faced much of Ola Prendergast so far today, so it'll be interesting to see how she attacks Ireland's Premier quick. Moves across her stumps. Appeal, but probably hitting too high. They won't take on the fielder at fine leg. That's Celeste Rack. So yeah, I think it was a hopeful appeal from Prendergast for getting the ball can bounce over the stumps.
Yeah, having a look on the replay there, might have even hit Seegers outside the line as well, so not too much going for it. Charlotte McCready turns it down.
Should be down the other end, trying not to rub where that ball just hit. I was happy to watch as Overdyke faces up. Too quick. What a ball from Prendergast. It's in that area, you don't know whether to go forward or go back, and instead you do nothing. Stuck in the crease from Overdyke.
Yeah, completely glued to her crease there. It's an excellent delivery from Prendergast there, and it's almost shaved the off stump.
I think it might have bounced over, in fact. On the money again, Prendergast drawing Overdyke forward. Just hits the bat a little bit harder than any of the bowlers on show so far today. that extra bit of pace from Prendergast. And she's only going to get quicker, I think. Still young, plenty of time to add a few yards of pace.
Especially with this action, it's a really nice fluent action. Bounds in to her gather.
They're taking on Gabby Lewis. She'll have a throw, but it's too high. Really needed to hit there to run out Seegers. So difficult to run out at the striker's end when it's hit to point. But backing up, batter able to get such a head start.
Yeah, this might have been very close with a hit from Lewis. I think a bit of a case from Overdyke, just desperately trying to get off strike.
First ball this over, Seegers stepped off the offside, trying to heave it into the leg side. Always she repeat the dose. Goes really high. Another chance for Richardson to take a catch. And she's taken it this time. A top edge, makes no mistake. Dropped Seeger on 9, but now she's gone for 10.
It's a well-deserved wicket for Orla Prendergast and for Ireland. Good pressure being built with the ball, and the pressure's told on the Dutch captain. She's tried to heave that one into the vacant leg side area. But Emma Richardson has got her chance to get a catch back in the book, and she's taken that one very smartly indeed. And Seegers departs for 10. A few lusty blows down the ground. Unfortunately, nowhere near enough for Netherlands.
Babette Delaney, Netherlands wicketkeeper, comes out at number 3.
And so with the score on 17.
A well-deserved wicket for Orla Prendergast. She's bowled really well today. And I think Richardson will be glad to take that catch. The tougher of the two, in my opinion, going over her shoulder. Much more difficult. I think the previous catch that she dropped, she just couldn't decide whether she was going to go for it or not. She'll still be reliving it now. You can see her with her 2 hands on her hips. But a bit of relief. She was sent down to long on to take that catch and didn't manage to do it, but got it on the second chance without too much damage to the total. Delaney is at the non-striker's end. The batter's crossed, so it's Overdyke on strike for the final ball of the 5th. Few run-up issues from Prendergast and a wry smile as she acknowledges she's had a few false starts, and again so a single to finish the 5th. Netherlands 18 for 1.
Yep, another excellent over from Prendergast. Just the 2 runs off the bat and a wicket. She's been very tight to start off with.
Plenty of options for Ireland to replace Prendergast. They'll no doubt want to save one of her overs. As you mentioned, plenty of spin of Richardson, Rack and Paul. But also the medium pace of Sophie Mcmahon, who looks to be warming up. So we might see her taking the next over. And there's also the skipper herself. She took 8 wickets in a 50-over match a couple of weeks ago, so she'll want the ball. But then there's also Lara Moritz, so an embarrassment of riches for the Irish skipper. Canning to continue. Beautifully bowled. It's sort of looping in swing, hitting the top of the bat.
Yeah, it can sometimes almost be a bit of a hindrance, I think, as a captain when you've so many bowlers. Like, you have to bear in mind that, international level, it's not everyone can get 2 overs stuff. You're going to have to try and find who are your top 5 or 6. But
I think we might see that from the batting order, really. Leopold, Emerson down the order, so they'll probably bowl a good few overs. Celeste Rack as well. So if you're getting picked in the team, you're down the order and you're a bowler, then you might get a few more overs than the all-rounders. Always tough in T20 cricket, not as much of an issue in 50-over cricket, of course. Beautifully played through the offside, but Prendergast is out on the cover boundary. It's a good field. This for Canning when she over pitches. Cover is out there to mop it up, and if you decide to take her on across the line, Gabby Lewis is out in mid-wicket boundary to take the catch. Small chip, but good running the lines from Leah Paul. Prevents the single. Before you go, Andrew, I'm going to put you on the spot as a Netherlands batter at the crease now. You see that run rate required creeping towards 10. Are you concerned and you're thinking I've got to push the run rate up, or are you just trying to get time out in the middle? Short and club to mid-on.
Yeah, I think you've got to, at this stage, try your best to force a couple of boundaries here. Over like 7 off 26. Has to come a time where you got to stick or twist, really. Try to add a little bit of impetus to this innings. So delayed to come out. Creams her first ball for a single.
Doesn't manage to do it there. That's 6 gone. And Netherlands 20 for 1 as I bid adieu for now to Andrew Blair White. Power play over. So that's the end of 2 fielders outside the ring now. The Ireland bowlers can be spoiled with 4 outside the ring. We'll see a change in bowling. Sophie Mcmahon coming on from the Malahide Castle end. And I'll welcome back to the commentary box Andrew Leonard.
Thanks, Isabel. I was getting carried away. Beyond the Boundary chats after our Beyond the Boundary chat.
Who are you chatting to beyond the boundary?
Oh, that'd be
this
telling.
time?
That'd be telling, Isabel. Couldn't give that
You're
away.
cheating on me. Oh, you can have a look at the Duckworth Lewis, what would be required for Netherlands now. It's 41. It gives you an indication of how far behind they are as the run rate pushes up over 10 going into the 7th over. It's the first over in international cricket for Sophie Mcmahon in a long time. And she's bowling straight to her field.
Yeah, such an effective bowler, Sophie Mcmahon. Stump to stump, just a little bit of movement you could see there, usually off the wicket rather than through the air. But she'll be a real asset back into this Irish squad.
Yeah, she was really frustrated to miss out in that Scotland series. Tends to make you think she's bowling shorter than she is as well, so it gets some good bowls and LBWs when players play across the line, just a bit wide on that occasion. They're allowed to have 4 fielders outside the ring, but Ireland opting to just go with 2, perhaps seeing the different options they have with the new ball, who can bowl to a field with just 2 fielders outside the ring.
I suppose the pleasing thing for the Irish camp here is just how effective their bowlers have proved. Very few freebies, very few poor deliveries, obviously just the one wide in this over, but inside of that misfield and drop catch from Emma Richardson, it's about being the perfect start to this bowling innings so far.
Just as you said, another wide for McMahon. She'd be the only player that hasn't had as much cricket due to work commitments. So good that she's getting a good run out. We didn't see her with the bat, and actually she's a real asset to that batting lineup, a really long batting lineup for Ireland. You could really shuffle it around. We might see that happen later in the week. Well placed, but they won't take on the fielders in the square leg.
Would you look at that role of Orla Prendergast where she's kind of come in as the finisher? Would you like to see Prendergast up the order, the power she possesses?
No, I was saying actually at the end of that innings that I like when someone's good at a role, leave them in it. Don't force them up the order. That's what Cavanaugh and Delaney are there for. You can push Leah Paul up if you need someone else that's going to run the ball around. That's more their roles in the middle overs. keep those finishes at the end. In women's cricket in particular, it's difficult to clear the rope. Prendergast is able to do that along with Richardson and probably Moritz. So I like them coming in the last 6, and it's a really well weighted batting lineup.
It'll be interesting to see how much experimentation and changes there are this week, not just in terms of squad selection, but also those different roles. Will there be, for example, some different opening roles played out as we see a boundary into the leg side? Come across the line, hasn't she there, Delaney? But it's proved effective.
Yeah, a bit of a heave, but it's paid dividends. Hit the ball well, but hit the inside half of the bat and managed to get between the fielders. Ireland opting to operate with just 2 outside the ring. So not a convincing boundary, but a boundary nonetheless. Much better from Mcmahon. So that closes out the 7th. Netherlands 26 for 1.
Yeah, this is the 9th time that Ireland and Netherlands have met in T20 internationals in women's cricket. Ireland have won 7 and 1 no result. We're going to have a change in bowling. See the leg spin of Celeste Rack. And a bit of breaking news. Well, not breaking news, belated breaking news. I've had a bit of a shocker, Izzy, haven't I? What have we forgotten yesterday?
No, but nobody else forgot.
So for those, I'm the only one. So for those wondering what I'm talking about, Isabel Joyce, we won't give away the number, but a very happy birthday for yesterday.
Yeah, thanks. It's out there in the ether. I'm sure if you really want to know, you can find it out. But it was a lovely birthday, my first as a mum. So I got a lovely card from my son.
Is that made by John, by any chance?
Granny. Celeste Ra coming on from the Dublin Road End. Plenty of air to that one.
Is you don't have to give away the number, but is there still a 3 at the start
there
of that
is,
number?
yeah, and there will be for a while. It's okay.
A while?
Well, about a COVID length of time.
Fair. Very happy birthday for yesterday, Is.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I forgot that. One of your club mates reminded me on WhatsApp there, so we made sure to get it in.
Flatter delivery from Rack.
Will the form of Celeste Rack be a little bit of a worry for Ed Joyce? She just hasn't quite looked at her best so far this season.
Yeah, she's bowled well in training, which is so often the case, especially for spinners. It's great conditions for her, though. Not too hot, not too cold. No worries about the grip. And that is a good delivery.
That is a beauty.
Really good turn. Probably a little bit more flighted than she would want. She's really, really keen to bowl flatter. But nothing wrong with that.
For leg spin aficionados, that's the dream. Drift, dip, a lot of dip there, and turn away. Follows it up with a double bouncer. That, I believe, is going to be a no ball. That's the new law.
Yeah, it's been called. It's been called by umpire Azam Ali Beg. Just gripping it too tight. She didn't like how much the last one went aerial, so she's gripped it too tight, dragged it down, and it's a double bouncer, no ball, free hit.
I would like to add I've taken wickets with double bouncing deliveries prior to that law change.
Good delivery, but heave leg side. Gabby Lewis will just let it bounce. Decided against taking the second run. Yep, I mean, I think Paul Sterling used to train his double bouncers, and it wasn't a bad delivery. Low arm action just into the deck, try and get a batter yorked on the second bounce, but you can't do it anymore.
I think in fairness it was a good change to the laws, that one.
It is, yeah. You usually find that in minor girls cricket, if you're a better bowling team, you might lose because your bowling can get hit, whereas the other team's rolling the ball along the ground, you can't hit any runs. So definitely a good option.
Frustration there being shown by Overdyke, just 9 off 31.
Smash between the fielders, really good placement from Overdyke. Finally lets loose of the shackles and a welcome boundary. Not a bad delivery from Rack, but probably a bit short at the pace she's bowling. Really good placement from Overdyke.
Yeah, 8 runs coming from that Celeste rack over, the most expensive of the innings so far. Joint most expensive of the innings so far.
Well, that one went for 9. I think it was the 4th over.
You can see the big building blocks there for Ireland. The wickets are the circles on top of the blocks, but really good late acceleration powered by that sparkling cameo from Orla Prendergast. And we're going to have spin from both ends now, Isabel, aren't we? Because Sophie Mcmahon, just the one over for her, taken out of the attack. Emma Richardson, we'll see her off breaks.
I think we might see a lot of changes of bowling for the rest of the innings. Both openers taking 3 overs each, getting the most out of the new ball. 2 in-swing bowlers. But Emma Richardson here's the most experienced probably of the Ireland bowlers, bar maybe the captain herself. She's moved over to New Zealand for a number of years now, plying her trade in domestic cricket there, and it was great to see her over the winter. Brilliant that BT have domestic women's cricket on show. If you're up overnight, then you could watch her or you could just record it the next day, but she was brilliant with both bat and ball. So we'll see her off spin now from the Malahide Castle end. Bit of a loosener. That one's hit strongly but well fielded from Sophie Mcmahon.
Second really good piece of fielding from Sophie Mcmahon in 2 overs. The over before at mid-off, she really attacked one that was hit firmly towards her. Mid-off cut off a certain single, save 4 there.
Much better from Richardson. I think the anticipation McMahon shows sets her apart. She really reads the bat perfectly well. Something that's really difficult to teach young cricketers, so keep an eye on her. Again, manages to come around and cut one off. Look how far across she's got from mid-off.
Yeah, outstanding. Super stuff from Sophie Mcmahon. Like you say, she's a 3-dimensional cricketer, bat balling in the field.
Too full from Richardson, hit out to deep mid-wicket, and that's the first maximum of the Netherlands innings.
Just keeping a keen eye on Azam Ali Beg at square leg as well, because I think it's just dipped enough to go beneath the waist.
Well, it's a little shuffle down the wicket perhaps that saved Richardson. Yeah. And it is the tall Lara Prendergast out in the boundary, but she couldn't affect the catch. A bit of a change in Richardson's action. She normally bowls around the wicket in T20 cricket. And it's well played down the ground. Rebecca Stokel patrolling the boundary down there.
Yeah, Babette Delaney has looked really, really good. The vice-captain, of course, the cousin of Baz Delaney, who we saw in the Cricket World Cup Super League of the Men. And that also makes her the niece of Tim Delaney, the former Dutch international. No different to Irish cricket, Dutch cricket, a real family affair as well, isn't it?
Well, it would seem so, all right. 2 Seegers as well playing today, Heather and Silver. Saw them both bowling. We've already had Heather out in the middle, but Silver will be coming in later on. That's 9 gone. Netherlands 44 for just 1. That required run rate just keeps on climbing.
5 bowlers used so far for Ireland. Orla Prendergast to stand out, 3 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 5. Continuing to shine on the global stage. Just seems to be so seamlessly filling those boots of Kim Garth that have gone down to Australia.
Beautifully struck, but a chance for Lewis, and she takes it. First wicket for Rack. It was well bowled. Babette Delaney just hit it too well almost, or not well enough to beat the fielder.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those funny ones. The way you said it there is almost the correct description. She's just hit it a little bit too well, because he's hit it well enough to carry out to Gabby Lewis, one of Ireland's strongest fielders. Get your best fielders into the key positions. And they feel that to the leg spin of Rack, that was where Netherlands were going to be targeting. And she takes a good low catch coming forward. Rack strikes, the second wicket falls, and the Netherlands start to slide.
Netherlands
Well, here is their biggest hitter, Miranda Vringmeyer. The veteran, played a lot of cricket. She's been in and out of the team with work commitments, but good to see her in. She's a real 360 player, very strong down the ground, but also likes to get on the sweep. Added a reverse sweep a couple of years ago. Sometimes just plays too many shots, but a real big hitter. And that's a real drag down from rack, down the leg side.
And the incoming batter for Netherlands wearing shirt.
Yeah, just more signs of the difficulties that rack is having so far this year. Such a difficult art leg spin. Said it so regularly in our coverage.
In the air again, a chance for Stokel, and she spills it straight through the hands for another boundary.
Yeah, this one, the second drop that has happened in that same position. Out at long on, not a good delivery from rack again. A dipping full toss, really powerfully struck by Frederique over Dyke, but that probably should have been taken by Stokel at long on.
Yeah, disappointment for rack. It's the last thing you need when you're struggling a little bit with your bowling is chances to be going down, but when you're teaching high catching, you say settle yourself, make sure you're still under the ball. Stokel still moving when she attempted to take that catch.
Yeah, it was powerfully struck. Overdyke has been struggling with her strike rate this innings. It's hovered around 30, 40s, got up to 50 now with that boundary. So it might not necessarily be a really punishing drop for Ireland, but you need to be taking those chances.
So Miranda Vringmeyer straight onto the back foot. If they're going to have any real chance, Netherlands need her to put in a big performance today. She's their second option with the gloves. It's been a bit of a mixed bag from rack. A few good deliveries. That was one of her better ones, bowling to her field. That's one of the worst ones, but it's another chance. And how often have we seen it today? A drop catch followed by a wicket.
Yeah, the two umpires just having a quick look at each other, because again it's flirting with that waist high line. I think that's dipped quite clearly, so a good decision from Jarlath McCready, but Azam Ali Beg doing the right thing, just checking with his colleague. I always say good umpires umpire in partnerships, no different to batting. And just for a moment look back. So that's the end of Overdyke. She's gone for 19, a strike rate of exactly 50. That's not what you need when you need 8 and over. Netherlands now 51 for 3.
So frustrating for Netherlands. It's a couple of times now that they've hit poor balls to fielders. They've not been made pay a couple of times, but that time Sophie Mcmahon made no mistake. And that's going to bring Robina Reicha out to the middle to join Miranda Vringmeyer.
Yeah, Vringmeyer will take the strike with the two batters having crossed. We've got to, I think, have some empathy for this Dutch side as well. It's a very, very young side. Vringmeyer, 29 years of age, by far the oldest member of this touring party. So many young cricketers making their way.
Beautifully played through the offside, gets it between extra cover and mid-off. Great timing from the veteran Vringmeyer. Her first boundary of the day.
That is probably the shot of the day from the Dutch perspective. Really elegantly struck. Look at the way she picked the gap. And again, slow through the air from rack. So unless you get your length absolutely spot on, you can do that and even play it off the back foot. Halfway stage of the chase, 55 for 3 now. Funny old game these days, isn't it? 29 years of age and you're a veteran now, aren't you?
Well, it's often the way in women's cricket, actually. I remember being asked when I was going to retire when I was 28. And I thought that was a bit tough considering, you know, Ed was apparently just coming into the start of his career, you know.
Coming into his prime then.
Into his prime, and he played for another 10 years or so. But anyway, that's just the way it is. They're expecting you to head off and have the babies when you're 28, so hopefully that changes for this generation.
Comparison on the screen as we see Laura Delaney bring herself into the attack. the Irish captain. Ireland were only actually 10 runs ahead of the Netherlands at this stage with the loss of one less wicket, but it was really all the acceleration in the latter stage that came, 95 being made off the last 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't know too much about this Netherlands batting lineup, young as it is, but I'm not sure they have the depth that Ireland do. Ringmeyer certainly able to clear the ropes and work the ball around very well, but the likes of Orla Prendergast, Sophie Mcmahon, plenty of batters didn't even come in for Ireland, so I think that might be why they're able to accelerate the way that they were. But all still to play for, and I can still be proven wrong, can't I, in that second half of this innings.
Yeah, still a lot of cricket to be played in this T20I.
Good running. They set off straight away, put Gabby Lewis in pressure and extra cover, put her under pressure, and even if she had collected it, I think they would have got home.
Yeah, still not sure about the choice of end for the throw for Sophie Mcmahon at mid-off. Potentially, if she'd looked at the bowler's end there and affected a direct hit, Ringmeyer would have had to get going. But interesting to see as well, Delaney really shuffling her bowlers around, including bringing herself into the attack.
Outside edge, it's a thick one. And it's good enough to send the ball over the rope again. First boundary for Rika.
Yeah, just a solitary over for both Sophie Mcmahon and Emma Richardson. More joy for the Dutch. Rabina Rika just opening the face on that one. It was in the air for a little bit, but it split the two fielders who were already quite close together. Third man in the circle and backward point. That's Moritz and Rack.
That's really bounced. I think she holding the ball across the seam there, Laura Delaney. And what that does is it means that if it hits the shiny or the flat, it can skid through, and if it hits the seam, it can pop, as we just saw. So difficult to bat against. A sharp stop from Lewis in cover.
Yeah, good cricket all round. Well bowled by Laura Delaney. Powerfully cut. Gabby Lewis, such a fine fielder. You almost just wanted her to throw down the stumps to show off her skills there, but she held on.
Such a canny operator, Laura Delaney. She did suffer that boundary, but just went for 6 in the over. That's 11 gone. Netherlands 61 for 3.
Bowling figures, 6 bowlers used so far. Still no signs of Lara Moritz, Isabel.
Yeah, it's a surprising one. Emma Richardson's going to come back. She's changing ends, moving to the Dublin Road end, but perhaps signs of a niggle for Moritz, or perhaps they're just holding her for the back end. We also haven't seen Leah Paul.
Leah Paul, the player of the series against Scotland women. It really shows the wealth of options available for Ed Joyce and Laura Delaney, the women's captain. Can that almost be more difficult to manage than having, out and out dedicated, who your 3 strike bowlers are, who your top 3 batters are?
Strongly hit from Ringmeyer. Chance again for Stokel, but she's over the rope. So that's 6 runs. So important when you're on the boundary to know where that rope is. You can see the disgust in her face as she realises she stepped over. A good catch, but it won't count.
Yeah, right in front of our commentary position here. It's a really good catch. She's made good ground to her left, but that left foot there was already over. So even if the additional step didn't come, it would have been 6 anyway. One of those ones potentially might have been better trying to flick it back in, prevent the 6.
Drag down from Richardson. Good fielding on the boundary from Leah Paul. Excellent from her.
And he gets a big cheer from the home crowd as well, gathered on the banks behind her. This is superb work. It was a drag down from Richardson. There's really good turn and offer in this Malahide wicket, but the spinners haven't been putting the ball where they've wanted to. That should have been back-to-back boundaries apart from the brilliance of Leah Paul.
Deft touch, but not enough pace on the ball to beat 45. You feel like perhaps it's a case of getting overs into certain bowlers. Emma Richardson's just arrived over from New Zealand, Celeste Rack hasn't been bowling her best. Sophie Mcmahon yet to play a game before today in internationals, so Laura Delaney making sure that those bowlers get as many overs as possible in.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of empathy here as well for Ava Richardson, her last game of cricket, as far as I'm aware, the 14th of March.
Clubbed straight and true. Sophie McMahon couldn't anticipate that one. Beautifully hit by Ringmeyer. He had another boundary.
Yeah. Miranda Ringmeyer is not thinking about getting a quick 20 or 30 here. She's thinking about chasing down this total and causing a huge upset. She is off to a flying start in her innings. She's already got to 17 in no time at all, off just 6 deliveries. Netherlands ranked a long, long way below Ireland in the world rankings. 22nd in the world.
Short again, but picks out the fielder. Not the control we're used to seeing from Richardson, but as you say, it's been a long time without cricket. As 12.
Sorry, is Ringmeyer's hitting the ball about as hard as we've seen anyone hit it today?
Yeah, she's ever since coming on the scene, she's been a brilliant batter. She used to open the batting, take on the power play with only 2 out. Very difficult to bowl to in those instances, especially considering how well she hits in lots of areas of the ground. They'll want to bowl as many balls as they can to Reicha instead.
13 runs off the over, an expensive one. If the Netherlands can keep doing that, they're going to be right in this game. Still a very tall task though, 87 to win off 48. It's more than 10 and over required, but that orange worm is just getting a little bit of life.
It's a funny one, isn't it, when you're chasing. Ireland not far off this in their own innings, but when that scoreboard pressure is on, you can sometimes feel like one slow over is the big difference. Ireland did have some poor overs in the back 5 when they lost some wickets, but they were able to propel themselves up to 160. Laura Delaney will be bowling her second over. Usually very miserly, just went for 6 in her last over. Field set out on the leg side for her. Really well bowled in at the pads of Ringmeyer, just taking the arms away from her, not giving her room to swing.
Yeah, I think the Dutch fans are going to be really pleased with their showing so far today, coming in as the underdogs into this series. There's been plenty for them to be pleased by.
Too short and too far down leg side. It's Leopold out there, but that was 4 all the way from the bat.
Yeah, and more joy for Dutch supporters because Delaney's just dragged this one down a little bit. Again, so often we see in these women's T20 internationals, no one behind square on the leg side. Why is that? Is it just the lesser pace the ball coming down at?
Well, I think one of the reasons is because of that rule where you can only have 4 outside. So you're trying to protect, you're trying to bowl to one half of the field and protect certain areas. Delaney's got 3 out on the leg side. She's opted to take her mid-wicket out and put them to 45. So a huge area vacant on the leg side. A full toss, but Reicha only able to hit it for 1.
Yeah, what that means is basically anywhere now on the leg side is a single, but I think what Laura Delaney is saying is she does not mind singles. Just trying to protect the boundaries, trying to do everything she can to get out of this over. Maybe she'll then take herself off. Of course, the Netherlands still need, it's hovering over 10 and over.
It's really hard to keep that going, but with Ringmeyer at the crease, it could be on offer. Straight back over the bowler's head and races away for 4.
This is a classic example of T20 cricket. You feel like the game is gone after 6 overs of the chase, and just from nowhere, in the course of the last 3 or 4 overs, the Netherlands are saying there's a lot of cricket to be played here today in the first match of the series. Coming into the game.
Yeah, it's disappointing for the Ireland bowling attack considering those first 6 overs were so tight. Netherlands 19 for 1 after 6, so it's been really expensive since then. I'd like to see a few more change-ups perhaps. I think they haven't executed their plans, Ireland, the change-ups have been dragged downs or full tosses. And nicely weighted into the leg side, but Orla Prendergast is very quick. She'll come in and keep that to 1, no problem.
But again, 12 runs coming from the over. The end of 8 overs, Isabel. Netherlands were 35 for 1. 5 overs later, they've moved to 86 for 3, and all of a sudden, the coaching staff, looking across to my left, Ed Joyce and Glenn Quirrell, who were sitting so comfortably 20 minutes ago, are looking more than a little bit nervous. I'll bid farewell to Isabel Joyce for the moment. Myself and Andrew Blair White will talk you through the remaining 7 overs of the match. Andrew, I don't know where you were 5 overs ago, but you might have thought that the game was over. And right now, it's very much game on here in Malahide.
Yeah, I must say, when I finished my first commentary stint of this innings, I thought the game was slightly meandering. But the hitting here of Miranda Veringmeyer has been brilliant to watch. These two put together have really put the pressure back on these Irish bowlers.
Yeah, just take a really quick look at the Irish bowling figures. 6 bowlers used, still no signs of Lara Moritz, and we're going to come back to see Sophie Mcmahon, so Emma Richardson taken out of the attack. Some of the striking from the Netherlands batters, in particular Miranda Veringmeyer, has been really, really impressive.
Yeah, it's been absolutely smashing stuff. Straight down the ground, and having a look at those bowling figures again. McMahon coming back into the attack. Must be a little bit puzzled though, looking at that Scottish series. Leah Paul and Lara Moritz, probably 2 of Ireland's best bowlers in that series, both unused so far.
Yeah, I think in particular for me, on a pitch that's very helpful for spin, the lack of the left arm spin of Leah Paul, the player of the series against Scotland, is very puzzling.
McMahon's probably the right type of bowler to come on in this situation for Ireland, though. Usually very tight with her lines, won't be giving any freebies for Veringmeyer, and even though she has hit a few very good deliveries away for boundaries, trying to build a few dot balls, try and take this crucial wicket to swing the game.
It's a lovely shot straight down the ground. It was a little bit into the slot, perhaps McMahon looking for the block hole, but Veringmeyer is showing all her class here. That for me is the Dutch shot of the day, and that's magnificent batting. 4 runs to the total.
Yeah, super shot this. Long on and long off are really quite straight, so she had to hit that incredibly straight over umpire Azam Ali Beg's head, and skipping away to the rope for another boundary.
Going to be back-to-back boundaries, because this one's cut away and the outfield is that fast. Netherlands are finding boundaries every single over here. Do we have an upset on our hands here, Andrew?
Well, things are changing and changing fast here in Malahide. You can tell with the spectators that are in with this Irish team, there's an air of tension. Veringmeyer has really upset the apple cart here.
There's an air of tension. There's just a little bit of an air of panic as well in the Irish side. Good to see Laura Delaney coming over to her bowler, Sophie Mcmahon, asking her about her plans, asking her where she's going to bowl. But certainly the pressure's been applied in a big way onto the Irish team. A change in the field. You're going to see running onto your screen there, Ava Canning has come across into the offside, so it's now a 5-4 offside field, plugging that gap where that last boundary went. Fielder's running everywhere now. Celeste Rack's going to come into short 45 just off the right of your screen there. Pumped down the ground, hit hard again. And you can see just how straight Leah Paul is there, out at long off. This has been a fantastic partnership, and they're keeping that required run rate very much in check.
Yeah, I suppose that's the benefit of also the regulations here in the women's international T20 format, with only the 4 fielders allowed outside the rope or outside the circle. It does give that opportunity to constantly keep hitting boundaries.
It has to be said, it makes for a better game to watch in many ways, because if you think that if there was 5 fielders allowed outside the circle, the Dutch in this game probably would have been dead and buried, but they've worked things around really well. Another over, this time with 11 off it. Let's take a look at that Manhattan chart if we can. And what you're going to see here is a very clear demonstration. Ignore the green blocks for the moment. Look at the last 5 or 6 overs for the Lionesses. Brilliant stuff from the women in orange.
Yeah, absolutely superb. Never say die attitude being employed here by the Dutch batters. And just off your screen while we were showing you those graphics, there was a big meeting in the middle there from the brains trust of this Irish women's team, Lara Delaney, Gabby Lewis and Shauna Cavanaugh. And they've decided to go for the left arm spin and Leah Paul. And you'd have to say it's probably come a couple of overs too late.
We've covered a lot of cricket this year. Andrew, we've spoken about captains not necessarily backing their spinners. It's the 15th over of the innings. She was the player of the series against Scotland.
I think she averaged around 4 with the ball as well, if memory serves me correctly. She's absolutely superb. But in that series, she wasn't used in the first T20 International with the ball.
Yeah, she's on now. She's going to be able to have the opportunity to show her wares. 4 for 16, her career best in that second T20I. She was the player of the series, 9 wickets at an average of 4.44. Remarkable stuff from the Marion CC all-rounder. Bowls with lovely flight, and she does have good control as well. Be interesting to see the battle here with Verengmar. Can Verengmar keep finding the boundary? 3 fielders in the deep on the leg side, just long off out on the offside. She's going to heave it down towards long on, and the change has worked. Where was Leah Paul till now? I think that's what the fans are asking out on the bench as well, and the crowd. But the change has brought about the wicket. A simple catch for Rebecca Stokel, and she's got the big wicket of Miranda Verengmar.
Yeah, tossed up and Verengmar took the bait, trying to go over long on there, and I think Rebecca Stokel obviously dropped a catch earlier today. I think more relief than anything. She thuds that one back in towards the umpire, but an excellent innings from Verengmar, who departs for 33 from just 15 deliveries and really gave this game an added edge.
Yeah, magnificent knock for the Lionesses to get over the line. She probably would have needed to potentially bat 2 or 3 more overs, you'd have to feel, particularly with that magnificent strike rate that she had. Strike rate of well in excess of 200. But she has brought the game alive. She's brought the series alive on the opening day of the series. And there's still plenty to do for Ireland to close this game out. Been a dream summer so far in green for Leah Paul. Player of the series against Scotland. She finds a wicket from just her second delivery. Brought into the attack from the Castle end. Won't be able to bowl her full allocation even if she wanted to now. Maximum she'll be able to bowl is 3. Do you think there is potentially a sense of what Isabel Joyce was saying, that the Irish side trying to get as many overs into as many bowlers as possible this week?
Yeah, potentially so. I said at the start of the day when we were talking about trying to find that best 11, and you're going to have to give opportunities during that stage. It's also sometimes quite tricky when you have 7 or 8 frontline bowlers. In T20 cricket you kind of almost feel compelled to bowl everybody. Sometimes that's just, at international cricket it's got to be cutthroat.
So nearly a second wicket. The way things have been going for Leah Paul, you wouldn't have been surprised if that carried, but it definitely fell just short of Celeste Rack.
Yeah, quite hard with the lack of pace on offer to really be forcing that cut shot that Raika is really trying to play, and almost into the hands of Rack, who was sprawling forward at backward point. They managed to scamper through for 1.
Again, lovely flight from Leah Paul. Looks certainly to me the Irish spinners to have by far the most control over her bowling. A really good over. The big wicket and 3 runs coming from it. 5 overs remain in the chase. The Netherlands are going to need 12 and over or so. Still have a game on here.
Yeah, but you feel that over from Leopold there potentially has swung the momentum completely back in Ireland's favour. She's developing a good habit of being a golden arm in these Irish colours. And we're going to see Lara Moritz now come into the attack. Having a look at that amount of bowlers. It's the 8th choice now for Ireland. All of them frontline bowlers in their own right, and sometimes quite difficult when you've got so many that are all-rounders, probably 4 or 5 recognised all-rounders within this Irish side.
Who hasn't had a bowl yet? Let's give them all a bowl. Gabby Lewis, Rebecca Stokel. Get the shoulders loose. Can we get all 10 used? I jest, of course, but no, Lara Moritz very much a frontline bowler. She was impressive up against Scotland. Good pace. And that good pace is going to go straight through. Ava Lynch, that's really good bowling. You talk about hitting the top of off. I think that one might have hit the top of middle. What a start for Lara Moritz.
Yeah, excellent for Moritz, bang on the money. And herself and Leah Paul putting their hand up when Ireland needed it most. And good movement back in, actually. I didn't really see that to the naked eye, but it's moved back in, probably hit more leg stump than middle.
Yeah, spot on. It has actually come in prodigiously, and that's a beauty from Lara Moritz. What a first delivery from her. She's staring over at the captain, Laura Delaney, now and saying, why aren't you bowling me earlier? Almost a gluttony of riches on offer with bat and with ball for Ireland women. And that's a sensational start. And a big smile, she's delighted. Seen some brilliant celebrations from her up the road in Stormont as Ireland won that series 3-1 against their Celtic rivals, Scotland. And these back-to-back overs with wickets are surely going to close this game out now for Ireland. As we see coming in at number 7, Irish Swilling into the crease, the fast bowling all-rounder. Moritz certainly, probably, maybe with the exception of Orla Prendergast, the fastest of the Irish bowlers.
Yeah, she is, and she bowls quite an aggressive length, usually kind of trying to hit the splice of the bat, really, that back of a length delivery. She's been used quite effectively for Ireland in kind of the middle overs of games as well.
And she's going to find another one. For the second time in 3 deliveries, she's castled a Dutch batter. This time it's Irish Swilling who falls. Beautifully bowled again, that inward movement. And it gets a big roar and a big cheer from the crowd.
Yeah, one of the most popular players in Irish cricket, Lara Moritz, and adopting a you miss I hit approach here with this bowling. She's come into the attack in the 16th over. She can probably feel a little bit aggrieved to be only coming on in the 16th. She's taken 2 for none, and certainly putting her hand up to maybe get a bowl a little bit earlier in the innings in the remaining games this week.
Yeah, big cheers in the crowd. Lovely to see that as well. A few of the youngsters in particular getting very excited and inspired by Lara Moritz. I wonder what's happened to Lara Moritz's celebrations. Just clean bowls 2 and 3 and shrugs her shoulders these days.
Yeah, very understated. We saw a lot of jumping, a lot of ball throwing in the air up in Stormont, but adopting a very subtle approach. Now maybe if she was to get a third in this over, might see a little bit more.
Maybe saving the celebrations for those spectacular catches which we've seen her take. Juliette Post into the crease, number 8 for the Netherlands, who are on 100, and this over is going to be all action, because I was going to comment on this. Third man is incredibly fine, almost kind of the angle of a second slip is Ava Canning, so Post gets this behind square on the offside, the outfield quick again, the end result 4 runs.
Yeah, lovely shot here from Post, just using the pace, and Ava Canning, as you can see, was extremely fine there at third man, especially here in Malahide, where backward a point it's always going to run away for 4 to the big tree.
Yeah, I think a really good start to the series this for Ireland. They're going to be pleased not by just the things they've done right, but also by some of the things that they can learn from. Plenty for the coaching staff to take away. Inside edge and just past the diving Shauna Cavanaugh. That would have been an amazing stop. It wasn't a chance in terms of a catch. She may have had the chance to stop the 4 though. And on the extra pace of Moritz means that inside edge will run away for 4 more.
These are the pairs of being a fast bowler. Almost chopped on there from post, but runs away down towards fine leg. She gets herself a second boundary in quick succession. 8 runs off the over with 2 wickets from Moritz. And these last 2 overs with Paul and Moritz coming into the attack, 3 wickets taken, and they've really swung the game, you'd have thought, into an unassailable advantage for Ireland, but the Netherlands still trying hard here.
I can also confirm, Andrew, the heat wave is over. The beanie is officially on my head. Wasn't needed over the last couple of weeks as we had such glorious sunshine and real heat, but it's just gone a little bit chilly. The thermometer here says 16 degrees all of a sudden.
Yeah, it has gotten a little bit nippy over the last couple of overs. It wasn't too bad in the first innings, but it's kind of clouding over here.
Also just feels like it's gone a little bit darker as well, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. The clouds have just gone a little bit greyer overhead. It's quite light in the first innings, but the last probably 10-15 minutes just got that little bit more overcast, a little bit colder as a result.
And I think probably all hope for the Lionesses, the Dutch women now gone, still 50 to win off just 21. Too tall a task, even with Rabina Raika playing a nice little knock of 17 from 17 deliveries. So Ireland on the brink of going 1-0 up in this series. That one's hit into the deep, but lots of protection. So just going to be a single. The things the Irish coaching team will be wanting to learn from in this game, a few little sloppy pieces of fielding and maybe a slightly more positive start right at the top with the bat.
Yeah, I think so. I think they were praised, and very rightly so, up in Stormont for their fielding efforts, but they probably haven't been quite as slick today. A couple of chances have gone down, a couple have been dived over. They'll want to tighten that up for the rest of the series. With the bat overall, I thought it was well judged.
Yeah, the fielding in Belfast was outstanding. There was a real energy and vigour to it. I'm not saying the intent hasn't been there today. It has. You can see them fast between their overs and real positivity and enthusiasm amongst the group, but just potentially the application has been a little lacking. And then, yeah, maybe not a huge amount of change with the batting, but the bowling, certainly quite a few errant deliveries as well.
Yeah, very much so. You have to also bear in mind that there hasn't been many Super Series games in the last couple of weeks, so after having a real kind of big binge of cricket in kind of that June time, May, June time, there probably hasn't been quite as much cricket for these girls recently.
Good pace again from Lara Moritz, that sort of natural back of a length that she likes to operate on. I think that's an interesting point actually, because you think about just how slowly they started the series against Scotland. None of that necessarily apparent today. It's going to be the third clean bowled from Lara Moritz. She's running through this Dutch lower middle order. Beautiful bowling, good pace on offer again. Juliet Post is looking to hit this one into the offside. For the second time in 2 overs, Lara Moritz has hit the leg stump.
Yeah, Post trying to angle that one backward a point like she did so successfully in the previous over, but with Moritz bringing the ball back into the right-hander, it's a tricky shot to play, and it's ended up cramping her up. And a third wicket for Lara Moritz.
Netherlands 112. Netherlands requiring 49 now for victory.
49 more to win still for the Netherlands, just 3 wickets left in hand. And I wonder, is Lara Moritz just starting to think about a 5-wicket haul? She's got 10 deliveries left if she's allowed to bowl the last over of the innings. Needs to find 2 wickets. The way they're coming out, you might think she might be able to pick up a 5-er.
Well, I'm sure it's gone through her head.
Killing bat for Netherlands.
She's just got to keep doing what she's been doing here, which has been targeting the stumps.
Good pace again, and Silver Seegers, who's in at number 9 for the Netherlands, works it into the leg side nicely, gets off the mark.
Yeah, Seegers with an interesting stance there, standing almost outside leg stump, then a big trigger movement and high bat swing. We've seen that more pronounced, especially in T20 cricket over the last number of years, both in the men's and women's game, with this high back lift.
Just wonder, was that a chance? We're going to wait for the signal here from Azam Ali Bey. Given his buys, I thought I heard something. Perhaps the bat just came off the ground. Shauna Cavanaugh doesn't look too happy. Really took a wicked steepling bounce off a full length.
It did. I was with you, Andrew. I thought there may have been a little touch on this. Quite hard to see from that replay.
There's definitely a noise. That noise could easily have been the bat hitting the ground. Given his buys, 4 buys, Kavanagh didn't look happy. Oh, direct hit would have been close. The call from Rijke was immediately nay, 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 which in Dutch, of course, is no. Seegers had to turn quickly to get back. Some of my translation skills getting a bit of a giggle from the back of the box here. I'll tell you what yes is the next over, Andrew, just after I Google it.
That completes the 18th over, with Netherlands moving on to 118 for 7. I'm sure plenty of our listeners would love a little language lesson from yourself, Andrew.
Well, I've been to the Netherlands several times. It's a beautiful country with very special people, and they're a great proud cricketing nation as well. I love what the KNCB, and particularly men's head coach Ryan Campbell and his assistant James Hilditch are doing with Dutch cricket. Building a great culture, a great atmosphere around the camp. And of course, they're the 2 men here with the Lionesses here this week with emergency action needed. What a shot that is, picked up so brilliantly, and a good piece of fielding in the deep. Cuts off a certain boundary. Orla Prendergast has swatted that back in like a bit of a fly. Really powerfully struck.
Yeah, it's a super piece of fielding. It's a good shot from Rijke. She's picked that off up just back of a length, but it's excellent fielding because that's skipping along the turf.
Follows up the shot before with an even better one. This is a little gem of a knock from Rubina Rijke. First one was a pull shot, this time a sweep shot. She's dissected the 2 fielders in the deep. Follows up with a boundary.
Yeah, it's a really good hard sweep this from Rijke in front of square. When the ball's that slow, it's quite hard to actually keep that sweep along the ground. So it's a really excellent shot. Good execution of skills. Moves on to 25.
Looks to be growing in confidence in her innings here. It really does. And go back to my point from right at the top of the broadcast today. You've got to remember, it's 690 days since the Netherlands women have played any international cricket. The guts of 2 years. So for them to get back out there is probably the most important thing this week. But you can see the progress and development and potential in their side. Such a young side they have as well. And you'd like to think that both Ryan Campbell and James Hilditch will feel like they've got an awful lot to work with in this young squad here this week. Get them into a better shape for those qualifiers. It should be in exactly a month's time. A month's time today it starts in La Manga in Spain.
Yeah, I think they can take plenty of positives from this performance, especially with the bat in the middle overs. They maybe got a little bit stuck at the top there in the power play. If they'd had a better power play, they may have gotten quite close to this target, but it's been an innings of substance in the middle. Rijke and Veringmeyer batting very well.
And probably the most pleasing thing, as we see a really good piece of running, allowing Seegers to get back for the second. Most pleasing thing for the Dutch will be, you just worried there when the partnership was broken with the loss of Rengmeyer, were they going to collapse in a heap? But they haven't. Continued to go. They are going to come up short here, barring something absolutely miraculous in the final over. They fought very hard, and they'll be able to take an awful lot from today's game.
Yeah, I think they can do, and potentially in one of the other T20 internationals, if they were to bat first and put a score of what they might even get today, which is going to be in and around that 135, 140 mark, you can maybe put a bit of pressure on those Irish batters. So they'll be happy with parts of their display.
That is a wicked in-swinging Yorker. That's beautifully bowled. That's unplayable stuff from Lara Moritz.
Yeah, really sharp work. This from Moritz, bringing it back. So pronounced at this time of the innings is excellent skills. She's already taken 3 wickets. You mentioned in her last over, Andrew, whether she'd be sniffing a 5-wicket haul here.
Thuds into the pad, a huge appeal, and Azam Ali Beg, I think, will have had a little bit of a smile on his face. You could see all 3 stumps. She's bowling, hooping in swing. I don't think that's going on to hit a 4th, a 5th. It might have hit a 6th stump.
Yeah, I don't think there was too much going for it. I think Lara Moritz maybe letting that thought of a 4th wicket get to her there. Clearly going down the leg side.
Enjoyed this contest here today between these two sides. Two young sides progressing their way back into world cricket after such long breaks. And if you thought that this series was going to be very one-sided coming into today with 12 ranking places between the teams, I think today's game, Andrew, will show that it will be competitive this week, and what's more, it's going to be very competitive in a month's time at the European qualifiers.
Yeah, I think this is why these sort of series, we saw the Ireland-Scotland one up in Storm, and now this one in Malahide, are so crucial just for volume of games, volume of experience.
After nailing her Yorker, the delivery before, Moritz just over pitches slightly this time. Perhaps getting a little bit greedy, still dreaming of that 4th or maybe that 5th wicket. She can't get the 5 for now, but she might be able to close it out and take a 4-wicket haul. She's bowled really well today. Only been able to bowl 3 overs, introduced into the attack very late. And that's going to close out the first match with a single for the Netherlands, who are going to come up short. They're going to come up short by 28 runs. Big cheers from the gathered crowd. About 200 spectators in here today at Malahide. And it started with a home win. A really good performance from Ed Joyce's team. Particularly with the bat in hand. 160 was a really good score on what was a wicket that offered a bit for the spinners and enough for the seamers as well. But he's going to be very pleased with his side's work. Laura Delaney, a career best for her, probably the star of the show, but good stuff too from Orla Prendergast, Leah Paul, and Lara Moritz there late with the ball in hand. It's a game that was a highly entertaining one, and the best thing about it all, we've got 3 more to take in all the way through the rest of the week, but Ireland, they go 1-0 up.
Yeah, really good all-round performance from Ireland, and one they'll be very happy with. Score of 160 was always probably above par. I thought par might have been around that 140, 145 mark, but it was a very well marshalled innings. Laura Delaney, Shauna Cavanaugh did so well in those middle overs, which can often be tricky in T20 cricket, but they kept things moving at a good solid run rate. And then that late injection from Orla Prendergast and Emer Richardson, especially Prendergast with her 27. It's just invaluable to get up to that above par score. But as we've mentioned, the Netherlands, first game in 690 days of international cricket, they'll be pretty happy with a fair amount of what they've seen today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think perhaps just the only thing that will have disappointed them a little is that really slow start with the bat. If they could have maybe thrived a little bit more in the power play, you could have ended up with a position where we had a real thrilling finish to this opening game. They've come up short by 28 runs, but that period when Miranda Verengmar was at the crease, I think 5 consecutive overs of at least 10 runs coming from it from the 8th over onwards. We thought for probably 2 or 3 overs there we were in for what could have been a real shock. And a lovely gem of a knock from Rabina Raika. I wonder will we see her possibly up the order a bit. But that Frederica Overdyke innings, 19 off 38, probably put pay to any chance of a historic chase. The 9th time these two sides have met in a T20 International. Netherlands have never come out on top. They'll be looking to change that this week, and I think there might be enough for them there from this performance to work with to maybe go on and do that.
Yeah, I think you're bang on there, Andrew. I think it's good signs for this series that it's going to be very competitive between these two sides. The bowling of Lynch and Overdyke for the Netherlands was excellent, and as you say, there was enough in that middle order to suggest that runs could be scored. And on the flip side, if you're defending a score of 135, 140, you could well be in the game. So this is something they'll have to bear in mind. They'll have to keep thinking those positive thoughts and try to get back into this series tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think equally pleasing for the Irish side is they will want competitive games. They will want 4 competitive matches. They're going to try to be ruthless and take this series 4-0. There's no doubt about that. But Ed Joyce won't want 4 real simple matches this week. He'll want to see his side tested under all 3 formats with bat, ball and in the field. And we saw that today. There was pressure at several points on his bowlers. The batting display, there was plenty of things that potentially they'll look to learn from. But also plenty of things he'll have been delighted with. That innings from Orla Prendergast, 27 not out off just 13 deliveries. A real standout class knock. But Laura Delaney, a maiden T20I 50 for her today. She was magnificent. And she's going to be a very, very happy captain. As her side have run out 28 run winners. Good bowling as well from Lara Moritz. 2 wickets for Celeste Rack. Only bowling 2 overs. We'll hopefully see a little more of her this week, struggling to land it at exactly where she wanted at points. And Orla Prendergast, again, that shows how dominant Ireland were. She only bowled 3 overs, Andrew.
Yeah, and it was a quality 3 overs at the top of the innings, and probably was the winning of the game between the final 5 overs of the Irish innings and the first 5 overs of the Dutch innings, really. They failed to get it off the mark, early in that power play, as you alluded to a few minutes ago. Prendergast was key for that, 1 for 5 from just 3.
So that was the tail of the tape in this first T20I. Ireland have run out winners by 28 runs. You can see the ground staff there. They're doing their work. We may have some rain this week, but hopefully we'll have enough time to get all 4 matches in. We'll be back with you with Tuesday's game tomorrow at 4 o'clock, Thursday's game and Friday's match, both at 4 o'clock, a reserve day on Wednesday. But don't leave us just yet, because we're going to have the post-match presentation. Let's hand over to Isabel Joyce.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. Ireland won match 1 of the T20 International Challenge by 28 runs. But first, a word with captain of the Netherlands, Heather Seegers. How do you felt today went?
I think everyone was a bit nervous getting back into it. I think the nerves are gone now, and we'll be ready for the next game.
There were really pleasing elements, I think, for you. Very few extras, lots of plans executed, some good catches taken. So you must have been pleased overall with the bowling and the batting performances, especially with some good hitting at the end.
Yes, I think we started off a bit slow with the batting, but the rest of the batting and lineup did very well catching up.
And a really good wicket and outfield. You must be looking forward to another 3 games and an opportunity to put some big runs on the board yourself.
Yes, yes, I need to show that I can hit a few runs now.
Well done today, and best of luck for the rest of the week.
Thank you.
We move on to player of the match. Honourable mentions to Orla Prendergast. She made 27 from 13 and took 1 wicket for 5 runs from 3 overs. 2 wickets for Ava Lynch and Frederic Overein. Miranda Veringmeyer made 33 from 15, and there were 3 wickets for Lara Moritz. But it's Laura Delaney for her 61 from 43 balls, player of the match. You must have been delighted to make that many runs today, Laura.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't have a great tournament up north against Scotland, so it's nice to be back in the runs and contribute here today.
You've had really, really good form in club cricket. We've been speaking about it on commentary, and do you feel like you were able to bring that then into today?
Yeah, I missed a few games at the start of the season with an injury in the Super Series, but to be able to go back and play club, I think, has been brilliant for me, and I can take confidence from those innings that I've had and bring it out into the middle today.
We spoke a lot as well about the number of bowlers you have in your Ireland team. Does that make it difficult as captain, just moving from player of the match to your captaincy? Does it make it difficult to shuffle the pack, as it were?
It does, yeah. Although pretty lucky that we had so many bowlers to go to today. To come only 29 runs short for Holland to beat us, I think, was something that we will definitely look into the next game. We want to make sure that the game isn't as tight. But yeah, having so many bowlers that I can go to is definitely brilliant.
At half time, what kind of number of runs were you looking to keep Netherlands to?
Personally, I would have said anything under 120, but in fairness to them, they came out and batted really well, and they put on a really good partnership there in the middle that nearly took the game away from us. But thankfully, Paulie and Lara bowled really well to pull the game back for us.
Well done today on your player of the match, and with a big win for Ireland. Do join us again tomorrow and for the rest of the week. The match 2 will be here again at 4 p.m. Either come and watch in person, or we'll be here on the live stream. From me, Andrew Leonard, Andrew Blair White, and everyone at HBB Studios in Cricket Ireland, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Good evening and good night.